Hello and good morning. Welcome to this week's Breakfast with Boom. I'm your host, MrBooMStickXL, and wow, there is a ton of Sony news to break down. Hot off the presses, Marvel Avengers information, and so much more. And in order to pull off a great show, I needed a panel with the talent like no other. And I found a group of gamers who have a lot to say and are quality community members. So let's get into the introductions. First, we have a community member that exemplifies what it means to be a fantastic person on and off social media. He's a chainsaw cutting assassin. He's a huge Xbox fan. He does not like scary games, but will watch someone else play and also walk through that door first so they get killed and he doesn't, which isn't right. Please welcome Zemi Games.
Which isn't right. I love that. I love that. Thank you so much, Boom, for the fantastic intro, as always. Had a fun time yesterday on the Xbox Factor podcast, and I know we're just going to repeat that again today with another phenomenal show. So thank you so much, Boom.
It's always great to work with you, and it's great to have you on the panel each and every week. Thank you so much for that. Next, we have the creator of the awesome BitCloud Gaming YouTube channel. He's a die-hard gamer obsessed with gaming and appreciates the great worlds, characters, and villains he meets in every game he plays. He's the host of the outstanding Real Gamer Talk podcast, co-host to the Gamer Couch podcast, and a permanent member of the Scumcast and hashtag Spectres. Please welcome BitCloud Gaming.
What is going on, guys? Welcome to the show. Good morning to you all. Let's have a good time, as always.
Well, listen, it's great to have you here, dude. Love what you bring to the show each and every week. And, of course, enjoy what you do on your channel as well. And we will get people to flock to that 5,000-plus subscribers you got at the end of the show. So let's continue with the introductions. Next, we have an old-school gamer who refuses to go digital. His Arnold Schwarzenegger impressions are so spot on, he has people running for the chopper. And he's a part-time stand-up comedian on top of that. One of the raunchiest community members I know, creator of the outstanding Gaming After Dark with Primal Eve, who's recovering from surgery. Let's wish her, obviously well. And the panel member of the saltiest gaming podcast, please welcome the very talented Noof Nukem.
Boom, boom, kaboom. It is Friday morning. It is Breakfast with Boom. Thanks for having me on, Boom. Great panel. BitCloud is in the room. Slow-mo, backslap, Zemi Games, and, of course, the host with the most, the man who always drops intros like atomic bombs, Mr. BoomStick himself. Yes, it is good to be here. I know there's lots of topics. It's been kind of a crazy whirlwind type of week, so I couldn't wait to be here. That's why I sent you a message. Say, man, if you got a spot on the panel, maybe you can throw me in there. And if not, it was all good. But either which way, I am here. I am ready to go. I got the Java rolling, baby, and let's get this show going.
Well, listen, it's great to have you here. And, of course, we do have Arnold Schwarzenegger on tap later on. He's flying in on the chopper, hopefully, to talk about some Terminator news in Mortal Kombat 11. But I have to introduce one of my favorite people. He's honestly one of my favorite community members. And he is obviously last and in no way least. We have a gamer that knows a thing or two about speaking his mind and using intellect to his advantage. He's the creator of the fantastic YouTube channel that contains real opinions, reactions, and thought-provoking content. He's a prime member of the Basement Radio Arcade and Scumcast, as well as a gun-for-hire assassin for Team Spectre. Please welcome Slow-Mo Backslap.
What's up, guys? We're gonna have a great show this morning. Thank you for the intro, Boom. I feel a lot better now. A little bit more awake, a little bit more agile. It's gonna be a good show, man.
Well, listen, it's great to have you here. Definitely appreciate you being here. And I'm gonna say this, Cognito, I'm coming for you with my intros. That's all I'm gonna say about it. But listen, this has been, like Noof was saying.
Cog's on notice. He's on notice.
Yeah, Cognito and everybody on that show they're my peoples, man. They are some of the greatest people I know in gaming. And if you are not already subscribed subscribed to the Iron Lords podcast, I really think you're doing yourself as a gamer a disservice. They put on such an amazing show each and every week, and everybody on that panel is worthy of your attention, and I really truly mean that. But getting back to this particular show, this has been a very, very interesting week for gaming, but more specifically Sony. Now, obviously, Breakfast with Boom was built to not only support but to talk about all three major consoles. This particular show is going to be very Sony heavy because there is really a lot to talk about, and some of the topics that I wrote have actually been the biggest topics in regards to writing that I've ever done, because normally when I write a topic, it takes up about a page, right? You try to get all your points, your dates, your names, you make sure everything is correct, you double and triple check it, and I'm almost at 3 pages on one of them because there really is a ton to break down. And I got to thank Tempest Sun, who is a new channel member. Thank you so much. He's also a panel member of Primetime Gaming on Monday evenings. But before we get into the shenanigans that has been going on at Sony, because that's going to be a big topic, I want to talk about a game that not only am I excited about, not many shows are talking about, and that's Ghost of Tsushima that's coming out. And in a recent article that I pulled from Gaming Bolt, they talk about the visuals double the beauty of the Japanese landscape, and this is coming from Sony Studios' boss. And considering we haven't seen anything since E3 2018, it's a very intriguing comment, to say the least. Now, obviously, when you say Yoshida, you think immediately Sony. And, he has been in the limelight for many, many years. But speaking in an interview for Famitsu, Yoshida sung high praises of Ghost of Tsushima's visuals, saying that not only was it amazing, that he personally was overwhelmed by the graphics. And he continues, when I play it, it looks so beautiful in my hands, I actually have to stop. The game doubles the beauty of the Japanese landscape, and I'm looking forward to seeing such beautiful scenes when the title is released. Now, as for when it may come out, the development of the game is, as we know, moving full steam ahead, and there's been no word on a release date so far. But the new rumors suggest that it's going to be releasing in the first half of 2020. Now, why that's interesting is because we know that The Last of Us 2, which in some people, in some circles, and some gamers, some people on the internet have already proclaimed it Game of the Year, and for good reason, because it's going to be a masterpiece. I mean, it is Neil Druckmann and Naughty Dog, but I don't want to count out Sucker Punch, because they are a developer that has been working on this game for a long time. They are a major first party for Sony, and someone that I highly respect. I love their work, but I want to get to, go to the panel on this. BitCloud, I want to go to you first on this because you support multiple consoles as well. And this appears to be another absolutely amazing Sony first-party exclusive that should be a huge seller from the team who brought us not only Sly Cooper, but the infamous trilogy. And what are your feelings on the next PS4/PS5 exclusive?
Well, I mean, looking at this game, odds are it might be cross-gen.
Probably, yeah.
This is more likely cross-gen, the way they're pushing it. As you guys already know, Sony's been prepping a lot of games with boost mode with the PS4 Pro.
Yes. Yep.
So that pretty much automatically gave you the hint that you're going to get enhanced titles on PS5, kind of like how you got Xbox One X titles with, like the current gen now. So I do see that type of thing happening. But as far as this game is concerned, this is by far one of the coolest first party games they came out with in a long time, and this is a big step up from Infamous.
Yeah, it's a huge step up for sure.
Huge step up. I remember when I first saw this, right? The first thing I thought that came to mind, because remember they didn't show much. All the show was fire, and then the armor disappeared, and then you see the dude with the hat on, right? I actually thought it was Ronin Warriors, like a Ronin Warriors type of a spin, That's what I thought. but it actually wasn't. It's more, it's more traditional. It looks awesome though. The gameplay looks on point. I love the parry system. The effects that they've done, like with the set pieces where you're actually fighting with like the leaves going everywhere. That is beautiful.
The colors were not to be believed.
Yeah, the beautiful storytelling and just the environment, and that says a lot. We're used to the characters doing everything, whether they're just talking or we're just hearing a certain like musical key, right? There was none of that. You just saw all background.
Did you get a Bushido blade kind of a feel from that?
Yeah.
It
was like they were inspired. It was like inspired by a lot of elements from different like I would say like different movies. I actually got Kill Bill vibes in certain scenes.
Yes.
Of it. I don't know if you did, like where Bill versus her in the yard. I was getting those type of vibes, and and how intense it was. I like that. So this is clearly going to be a big deal. Hopefully, though, I want to see more. I really want to see more. Like what else they're going to do. Because you already know we had Sekiro Shadows Die Twice. That was another good game that dropped this generation.
And you know what? A lot of people forgot about that game because it came out so early, but that's also going to be at the end of 2019 in Game of the Year talk for sure.
Oh yeah. That was a good game for sure. And I would like to see more from it again. I want to see like the boss fights and whatnot, like how many more crazy set pieces they got. Are all boss battles going to be disengaging? Obviously they got stealth. It looks good. I'm hyped for it. I can't wait. It's going to be interesting to see how they market that. Like, are they going to have a limited edition console? How the steel like collector's edition is going to look? Are they going to give away swords?
Hopefully it comes with a sword or something.
That would be sick.
That would be dope. That would be dope. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. All right. Well, anything else you'd like to add before I move on to the next panel member, my friend?
Can't wait. Pre-ordering it immediately as soon as I get the opportunity. I am pre-ordering it, and it will be mine. That's all I got to say.
Nice. Noof Nukem, I want to go to you next on this because you obviously, like us, support multiple consoles. You're very proud of that. And the one thing that we can all agree on, and of course this question is for the panel, is that Sony knows how to put out their first party games. It's something that they've been very good at this generation, and it seems like it's going to continue. What are your thoughts on the comment from Yoshida regarding the beauty of the game, which isn't a real surprise when you talk about Sony first party, but are you intrigued by this? Isn't just a hack and slash. You actually have to use your noggin for taking on. I mean, I guess like very similar to a Souls kind of game a little bit. Are you intrigued enough that you're going to get this day one?
I think so. I mean, at this point, I still haven't seen enough that makes me just, oh my god, I gotta have it. It's very intriguing. Like obviously beautiful. But that's becoming a standard trend for Sony games. I mean, this generation, there's been hardly anything that those guys or any of their studios have produced that's you go, oh, that doesn't look so good. I mean, everything's been looking stellar. I mean, heck, one of the most overlooked games of the generation wasn't even one of the most popular. That's The Order, 1882,
1886. I loved that game.
To me, that was almost their sort of like steampunk version of Gears of War to an extent, with a little bit of horror sort of mixed in there.
Yeah.
But anyway, not to get off topic, but no, their games look stellar. This one's looking great. I mean, I love that sort of time period of the feudal Japan, the whole the samurai and stuff like that. I think it's very intriguing. I love the sword play. So I think, hopefully they find enough mechanics in the game to sort of elevate it and separate itself from the other style of, samurai games that have come out, including the Sekiros and things like that. I mean, I want a great narrative, and I think we'll get that. Most of Sony's games are also known for having decent narratives, as long as it's not like just a big, a lot of filler surrounded by a lot of CGI heavy story bits in between. That's all fine and dandy, but I want some substance to the gameplay. But definitely I can say without a shadow of the doubt, this game already looks far more interesting and less confusing than Death Stranding. So that's
that's a horse of another color, because like I said, we could spend 2 hours talking about what we don't understand about that game. But it's very interesting. I am intrigued because I love, my wife and I are huge fans of ancient Japan. We love the aesthetics. We love the history behind it. How honor plays such a big part in the Japanese culture. It's something. I mean, obviously, I'm American, but for the way I was brought up by my pop. Honor and integrity is the paramount. It's what's in my personal core. And when you talk about ancient Japan, that's literally the first thing that I think of is how honorable, how important it was to be honorable in that culture. And when I see this game, man, it really brings back some unbelievable vibes. I know that the two, one game is different from the other, but I definitely get an Onimusha kind of a feel. You saw a lot of that in Neo, and Neo 2 is going to be coming out next year as well. I mean, Sony is stacked for 2020, and this is just another one of those games that I'm going to definitely be buying day one. Slow-Mo, I want to go to you because, again, like us, you support multiple consoles, and I think it's safe to say that we can tip our hat to Sony when it comes to what they've done in this generation and what it appears they're going to do in at least in 2020. We know 3 games that we just talked about that should be huge in Neo 2, Last of Us 2, and now of course Sucker Punch's game. Now again, we don't know release date, and it could slip a little bit towards the end of the generation, which would be fine because there's so many games coming out. But from what you've seen and what you've heard, the comments from Yoshida, does this intrigue you to pick it up day one? Are you interested in this game?
Definitely interested in this game. I was interested when I saw the opening trailer for it and just how amazing the game looked, like the blades of grass as the horse was riding through the grass. I mean, everything about it just looked like next level. And initially I thought, I was like, this gotta be on a PS5 or something. But I was like, well, no, they wouldn't show PS5 footage without announcing a PS5 yet. So this it would just amaze me, but that this was running on a PS4 Pro. I think is going to come out when the rumored around first quarter 2020 kind of talk, just because that's just going to be way too close to The Last of Us 2. I think Sony will want to kind of spread stuff out, not have any of their first party games.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah, but I do think it will be out before.
Maybe we get it in June or July. Maybe, you know what I'm saying. That's a couple of months removed from The Last of Us. Everyone has gotten and probably have beaten it by then. And then you pound the pavement with another big time first party game. If they can come to a schedule where they're releasing an exclusive every quarter. It's going to be. I mean, think about that. If you get 4 exclusives for Sony's PS4/PS5, that's going to be a big year for them for sure.
Right. And I mean, I could see it coming out in May.
May's that's a good month too. That's a great month. Yeah.
Like 3 months after The Last of Us, and then that would be kind of in that second quarter of the year. So I think they will want to have those games that they announced for PS4 out before they start showing PS5 and PS5's launches later in the year, and then potentially coming back to E3 and then really showing what they're going to have for PS5. I do agree with Big Cloud that it's probably going to be, well, all of these games are going to get some kind of
boost. Yeah, absolutely. I would agree.
PS5 anyway, because PS4 is going to be backwards compatible to the PS4. So like we saw with the Xbox One X, where you just got like free updates.
You got packs that were just added. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You're gonna see those things. You won't see it for all PS4 games, but you will see it for their first party for certain. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. This game it looks like it's going to be amazing. Sucker Punch is a good developer. I enjoy Infamous Second Son. That was actually the first game I played on my PS4 when I first got it. So they're a good developer. They've always really kind of pushed it with visuals. If you guys remember, Infamous Second Son had some amazing particle effects in the game.
Yeah, with the particle effects were ridiculous with the powers. Absolutely.
Yeah, they're going to knock it out the park for certain.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt about it. And like I said, it's a game that that's what I enjoy about being a content creator, because no one tells me. I don't have a producer. I'm the producer, so I tell myself what I want to let the talk about. And no one's been talking about this game because Sony hasn't shown it, and that doesn't mean it's not important to talk about, especially because the big cheese just mentioned it to Famitsu Wave, and I thought it would be an interesting topic. And Zemi Games, I want to go to you because right now you don't have a PlayStation 4, from what I understand, and you have talked about possibly getting one. Now, The Last of Us might be one to kind of push you to pick one up because you did have one before. But from what you've seen with Ghost of Tsushima, is it aesthetic enough in regards to the background and the possible potential of magnificent storytelling that Sony is known for, especially Sucker Punch, to go out and buy this?
Absolutely. I mean, that's just what Sony does. That's what they do with their exclusives that just make me, every single time I see a Sony exclusive, I just want to run out and buy a PS4 and play it. That is exactly what they do. And that's a big reason why, if I had to say which side I would prefer the exclusives for, I would probably be leaning a little bit closer to Sony, just because they have those strong narrative, beautiful, games. And this Ghost of Tsushima looks absolutely breathtaking. Whenever I was watching the opening scene of a video I was watching, and the guy hops on the horse and is riding through the field, I was getting some Witcher 3 vibes. Whenever I first loaded up the game, the tall grass is everywhere. It has a dark, war-torn.
Those red leaves that they were kicking up were just unbelievable.
Absolutely, yeah. And then as I was watching some of the combat and some of the dialogue between the characters, I was getting some really strong Assassin's Creed Odyssey kind of vibes as well. I mean, the game just looks absolutely outstanding. It's open world. It looks like it has a strong story. The gameplay is very thoughtful. It's not, you're just not going to run in there like a button masher. I really like that, and that's a big reason why I'm excited for the upcoming Star Wars games as well. And I mean, did I already say that the game looks absolutely beautiful, breathtaking? I mean, it just looks phenomenal. So I don't know if I'm gonna get it as soon as it comes out. The way it's looking, I really want to play Last of Us. I really want to play this game. But the PlayStation 5 is just
right around the corner.
So
yeah.
I'm probably going to wait for that and then be able to pick them up. Or if Sony does something like, Xbox has with their, Game Pass, then I might just play it on PC streaming the game. But I'm definitely heavily into, seeing how this game plays out and hopefully getting my hands on it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Listen, all I can say is that they find a way. That's the thing that's great about Sony. They find a way. You said it, to make you want to go out and buy a console because their games look epic, right? I mean, and obviously it's one of the main reasons why they have basically curb stomped this generation, because they had the first party, and I still believe in exclusives. I still believe that they're important, and so I believe Sony does as well. But you know what? We're gonna move on to the next topic because I think we're kind of gonna be here for a bit. If you're a Sony fan, and there are a lot of people, and again, it doesn't matter if it's your first console of choice or your third, right? If you're a gamer, if you enjoy gaming, more than likely you like to support all three consoles. And again, it's tough to do for everyone because it's a financial burden. But if you are a Sony fan, the last few days has been nothing short of unbelievable, to be completely honest. And there seems to be some in-house bickering and some serious company unrest for the generational market leader. In fact, I would dare say that it's the most disorderly I've seen Sony since the days of the disastrous PlayStation 3 launch. Now, I want to make this perfectly clear because you got folks, if you're a content creator, you know that you get these messages from folks that swear up and down that you're going out of your way to be an a-hole. And I want this to be understood. This isn't a witch hunt. This isn't BoomStick laughing at the situation. I run a drama-free show, and I think everybody knows that. But when there's news to cover, you better believe I'm going to bring all the information, and I'm going to break it down. And I'm going to double and triple check everything that I'm putting out there because I don't want to look like a boob, right? But with that said, Monday evening, about 7 p.m., just before we were going to go live on Primetime Gaming, it was announced on the official PlayStation Twitter account that Sean Layden, who I absolutely think is an amazing person, but more specifically, an awesome rah-rah kind of a guy for the PlayStation brand. They tweeted that he was leaving, and here was the exact tweet. Now, you might have heard this already, but I'm going to say it again because some people may have missed it. It's with great emotion that we announce that Worldwide Studio Chairman Sean Layden will be departing SIE. His visionary leadership will be greatly missed. We wish him success in future endeavors and are deeply grateful for his years of service. Thanks for everything, Sean. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, okay? You know, when I see BS, I call it. When I smell BS, I call it. And I got to tell you, not only was the entire gaming world shocked by this news, it was, in my opinion, a real shitty way to announce that he was leaving. In fact, I dare say it was downright disrespectful to a visionary that has led the PlayStation brand into greatness that it is today. Now, obviously, this is a massive topic. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to go to my panel, continue the topic as if it was like a segue, and then come back to everybody because it's just too much information to ask my guests or the chat to kind of retain. So BitCloud, I want to go to you first, dude. Sean Layden, there's no doubt about it that he is not solely, because no one is solely responsible. There are teams that work with everyone, with Nintendo, with Microsoft, with Sony. But he is definitely the guy that was put up in front of the pedestal or in front of the podium, so to speak, to get the fan base excited. And it seems as if he enjoyed doing that. Now, this is the question. In your opinion, because we have not heard from Sean Layden as far as I know. Now, I've been checking, and I have seen no reports of him going out there and putting out a press statement. Do you think that this was kind of a disrespectful way, kind of like a second guessing kind of a thing? Because this was at 7 o'clock at night with no press release.
Yeah. Well, one thing we've been talking about for the longest is Sony's strategy going into next gen. And it seems like going into next gen, they're going to be branching into different avenues. So they're going to need new, fresh blood in terms of like leadership and management. For the record, not only did Sean Layden leave, but also Asuka Morita.
Yes, who was the same position, but for the Japanese side of Sony.
Japanese Asia.
Yes.
Japan Asia. He was also gone. And what was interesting about him leaving, a lot of people brought up some interesting history. Mr. Morita was the one who actually got Sean in the business.
That is correct. Yes.
So for him to leave too is actually pretty interesting as well. It kind of makes you wonder, did they say that he had to retire and he said no, and if he goes, I go, maybe. There's a lot of stuff going around. There's a lot of talks about, different, basically them suffering for what Microsoft suffered from before this generation. Remember how there was a lot of conflict in the office of where they take the Xbox? Yeah, remember that? There was a lot of discussions. So a lot of people are saying that. And it's possible. You never really know. The gaming world is indeed changing. It's not necessarily the same like it was. And I know they do see Game Pass. They see how people are responding to Google jumping into the fray with streaming. A lot of people are taking note of this, But for him to just simply leave, now this is where really it threw me off guard, because it was kind of unceremoniously, right? It was just like a tweet that was just put out there.
Yeah,
he was quiet. He didn't say nothing. He was just like, You would think a guy who's been with this company for damn near
31
30
years.
Yeah, over 30,
Yes.
over 30 years, will be the first one saying, "Hey, I remember the good times. Thank you guys for that. This is incredible." And now my journey's over. When Jack Tretton left, he was immediately on social media saying like,
yes, he
"Hey,
was.
I appreciate everything. It was great to be with PlayStation." And then he basically stated that, "Yeah, I'm leaving, but I'm leaving on a redemption type note because PlayStation 4 is basically about to be out there with PS2 numbers at this rate."
Right. I mean, when Reggie Fils-Aimé left, it was a 2-week notice, and he went out there and said, "I'm retiring, for family reasons."
Right. I'm not being forced out.
Right.
This is my time to go. Like, I've sacrificed all this time with my family. I want to go home. And that's basically what Reggie did. But Sean, if you think about Sean, if you really if we go back to when Adam Boyes and Andrew House were replaced by him, right? Sean was kind of just thrown into this role at times, it felt like, especially at E3. You guys remember he was just thrown on the stage?
Yeah, I remember. I absolutely do.
Remember how nervous he was? He was choked up on the teleprompter. He didn't know what to say about certain things. And then as he naturally got better, we naturally kind of grew more and more with him as respect grew, and he actually got more confident in that role. So it is weird that he's gone. I ain't gonna lie. It is weird to see him go. It is. We lost. I mean, that's four. Actually, that's like 5 executives gone now from Sony. You had Jack Tretton.
Yep.
Adam Boyce.
Yep.
Andrew House.
Yes.
Kaz Hirai.
Yes.
And Sean Layden.
And Sean Layden, yeah.
That's 5 executives, and this whole generation. And many people can say, well, they wanted to leave on a redemption note. I even said this. I'm like, maybe it's just because they wanna really leave while they're on top. You retire at the best that you possibly been in terms of like your position, and then let the future new employees work there, and that's possible. And I highly doubt money played a factor in this, because you guys remember back when the PlayStation 3, remember how Sony had to take, they were taking not price cuts, they were doing budget cuts for people. Yes. And they were cutting people's salaries, and people were willing to do that because they wanted to help the business continue to thrive and survive. So I don't think money played a factor in this at all. It's just probably something else. It's probably creative. It's probably creative differences in terms of like where they're going. Because a lot of talks going around with Jim Ryan.
Yes, well, we're actually gonna get into Jim Ryan, because a lot of Sony fans are not happy that dude is going to be leading the charge. And I would have to agree with him, because he said some really controversial things.
He acts like Don, but like not in like a real bad Don Matrick way, but he kind of acts like Don, where he does at certain times, doesn't he? Like he act like you can't really, he actually can't answer a basic question. And that's kind of the problem.
If you ever seen him in an interview, and I've seen several with Ryan, that he seems very confrontational with his responses, right?
And he talks around it, like he doesn't want to give you a direct response. He'll bring up one division, then now transition to another division, and then that's kind of like his answer. It's like, no, that's not the answer to what we asked you, and that's where Don Matrick at, Remember Don Matrick in Xbox? Remember Xbox is supporting the military, and he couldn't even answer the basic question for the military,
right?
Involving always online check-ins and all that, and that was another problem. So, Jim Ryan, he's cool. He's good on the mic. He has a good stage presence on the mic. But I said this in my video. I'm like, who's gonna take over these events now in terms of like who's gonna present stuff?
It's not gonna be him, because he's not a public speaker right. Presence like that, right?
Yeah,
he's a corporate guy
all the time, and I'm like, I don't think Jim Ryan will do that. He's mostly in Europe, so he probably will be like at the Paris Games Week type of events, or some those type of events. But there's one person I did think about, and it's probably Shuhei Yoshida. Maybe,
yeah, no, that's definitely a possibility. I mean, it's going to be interesting, but like I said, we have this topic is so big that we're gonna have to come back around because again, it's just too much to retain. But Noof Nukem, before I get to you, first of all, I have to thank Sin Vendetta for the another $5 super chat. He's always in the chat and he's very generous. Thank you so much, Vendetta. He says, do you guys think the tension within Sony PlayStation could lead to a PS2, PS3 situation? Could history repeat itself? And yes, it is absolutely a possibility at this particular point. Noof, I want to go to you because obviously, like myself and many people on this panel, you're a content creator, so you keep your ear to the floor. I want to get two points from you. One, were you shocked by Sean Layden leaving Sony? But more importantly, do you think that it was kind of like it was treated like a bother announcement, the way that they just kind of at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time threw a tweet out there and people were just running like crazy? Do you think do you think, like myself, it was slightly disrespectful for what he has done in a 30-year career at Sony?
Well, it definitely comes as a shocker. There's no, I don't think anybody saw this one coming, especially on the verge of PS5 and the success that the PS4 is riding into that next gen. Ultimately, I think it's a bit of a slap in the face of Sean, and he hasn't officially, at least up to this point, come out and made any type of statement to, to kind of let us know if this was sort of a mutual thing, or this was a go out on top move, or this was just, I'm getting thrown underneath the bus here. They're kicking me out the door. Ultimately, personally, if you ask my opinion, again, when you see a lot of executive shakeups, it's usually because financials are not where they want to go, so they have to bring in someone with a different perspective in order to hopefully stir the pot, shake the bus, so to speak, and get things back in a different direction. Look, these tech companies, man, they follow each other very closely. We know that Microsoft, I think more than anything, pays attention to what Apple is doing, and I definitely think Sony watching very closely as to what Microsoft has been doing with their direction. And look, we know the PlayStation console's been selling like gangbusters, right? But we also know that selling all the consoles in the world don't make you money hand over fist. There is very little profit into that model, right? Microsoft is seeing, we see the reports. I hate to be this guy that we're throwing out the numbers, but you can't deny that while 100 million consoles is very impressive, so is a company that's turning profits hand over fist into the billions of dollars. And you see things like Game Pass, which are industry-leading trends. And the only people that can, hack on Game Pass or PlayStation Plus or PlayStation Now would be just trolls that just they're very narrow-minded in their focus. So what I think is a difference of opinion, a difference of philosophy here with Sony. They're probably changing directions. Perhaps Sean's views don't align with the corporate head office. Perhaps him and Jim Ryan don't see eye to eye. I mean, it's kind of funny. You look at a Microsoft situation from the Don Matrick era, right? And how all of a sudden so much has changed at Microsoft since those initial unveils. It's almost a complete 180 here. And Sony may be transitioned. They know they need more than just, okay, exclusive games are awesome, but like at the same time, they also know that while they're making money, they're leaving a lot of money on the table if they don't branch out into different avenues. And sometimes they said a fresh way of thinking, new eyes, somebody who knows more about the streaming side of things. I said this last night, man, the fact when Sony dipped in on the Azure servers, that had to be an eye opener right there, that obviously they would even consider some sort of a partnership or a bit of a relationship with Microsoft just to get into that side of the business. And I'll relate this to my own situation. I was in radio 4.5 years. I was happy-go-lucky. I was enjoying life. All of a sudden, I had management changes at the top. And I get called in the office one morning after a show, and it said, you know what, we're making some changes here, and you're no longer needed. So we're taking you off the air effective immediately, and you've got two choices here, Mr. Newcomb. You either take this other shitty role we're going to give you, or you hit the highway. So I said, you know what, after my 4.5 years, you can take it where the sun don't fucking shine. I will hit the fucking highway and see where the dice may roll. Yeah. So I think that's kind of what's going on here. Let's hope that's not the situation. We wish Sean all the best. He's been instrumental, like I said. At some point, he's almost become sort of the face of Sony.
Yes.
More recently, much the way Phil is the face of Xbox. Who knows? Maybe Xbox picks up Sean Layden and gets his expertise. You never know. A lot of these guys switch hands all the time, and end up in other areas. But that's what I think, Boom. If you ask my honest opinion, I think there's something kind of nasty. Just the way it's been going about, it just weird. A guy with that much experience, just like overnight, hey, you're out. But look, Sony is in a great spot right now, but again, they can't rest on their laurels. They don't want to get cocky going into next gen, and they do. As I said, they're leaving money on the table if they're going to be narrow-minded and be like, well, exclusives are going to simply sell all. Yes, they are going to sell consoles, and the fan base. And that's part of it, right? But they're trying to transition not only their console business, but their fan base as well. They're trying to wean them away from, you can only play this shit on a PlayStation. Like, no, we want to get into the PC bracket. We want to expand to other areas. Again, branding is more important than, like I said, the fanboy rhetoric that a lot of people take it. You know what I mean?
No, those are all really great points. As a matter of fact, I'm going to back up your particular point with some information that I was able to uncover. Slow-mo, I want to go to you on this because the information that I have is pretty damning. And again, I'm not a sleuth, you know what I'm saying? I didn't, go into the Sony corporate headquarters and sneak this information away. This is being reported. So, according to the report, though, at one point, Layden and Ryan clashed severely over cross-platform services, specifically crossplay. And in an interview with Eurogamer from 2017, as we know, Ryan defended Sony's then stance of not allowing crossplay, specifically Minecraft on PS4, saying, and this is a famous quote, saying the platform has got to be mindful of our responsibility to our install base, exposing what in many cases are children to external influences we have no ability to manage or look after is something we have to think about very carefully. Now, obviously, my God, is that a corporate PR BS? But we do know that they were clashing, and now we see that all PlayStation 4 games have the ability to have crossplay in them. This is across the board. No more getting permission. It's crossplay, cross progression, and that's a big deal because it is the future. But getting back to Layden leaving, do you think that this latest information with him and Jim Ryan clashing may have been the straw that broke the camel's back, and whether he was forced out or he left on his own accord? I don't necessarily know if we're ever going to find that out.
There's a lot of information coming out, and there's that. I wasn't quite aware of that one. Thanks for that info. But there was also just things, and there was an article also that came out where a anonymous
yes,
party,
we're going to come back around to that. Yes, the third party anonymous person. Yeah, we that's actually the second part of this topic. I mean, you could talk about it. We'll come back around to it, but yeah, there's a lot of information coming out that's a bit damning. Would you say?
And so that's why I kind of feel like what happened needed to happen. You can't let internal battles, internal warfare continue. You can't let it fester, because what ends up happening is that you get situations like The Last of Us 2 multiplayer where there's mixed messaging. Last year at E3, they're saying multiplayer is definitely in there. Then this year, it's, you got an actual director on the game saying there's no multiplayer. Out with a statement saying, hey, look, there's going to be multiplayer later on. And even now, we still don't know whether it's going to be in the game or if it's going to be
I think it's going to be a separate price thing.
Yeah,
that's just my opinion.
That could be priced, and we don't know if it's going to be free. It was going to be priced. It's going to be people going to be like, hey, look, I wanted it in the game, and I didn't have to spend additional money. Now, like there's so much, and it's really unusual for Sony, because Sony's usually one unified voice, one unified message with when it comes to their games. So this is very unusual, and I feel like this is just my opinion, this is partly due to all of this internal battling going on with different ideologies and different philosophies on where they should go in the future. I think his comments about crossplay, they were dumb, and he's made a lot of dumb comments over the past years.
Yes.
But I think we also need to allow people the opportunity to grow, and we have to be honest about the guy. The guy has absolutely dominated in the regions that he has been in control of.
Yes.
He has been in control of PlayStation in Europe, and in Europe, PlayStation is king. I mean, it's not even close. Like, compared to what Nintendo and Microsoft have is sold in Europe, it's
a 3-to-1 ratio. It might even be more.
So he's done his job, and it may be that the company, the higher leadership chose him due to that, because they're like, look, this guy gets results. You know, hey, it is what it is. You get promoted, and you know, other people are shown the door. But the thing is that you can't have these internal conflicts. You need to have one unified vision. If it's Leighton's vision, if it's Ryan's vision, on board. Because when it's not like that, that's when leaks get out. That's when people get real bitter and they start saying stuff to the press that just really not beneficial to the company as a whole. So let's also remember, like, you know, we have to give people the opportunity to grow. Ryan said some dumb stuff, but you know, Phil Spencer has said some dumb stuff.
Oh, they all have, dude. They absolutely all
right?
have. Sure.
Yeah. And you know, Phil has been given the opportunity to walk back some of his comments about single player games. Like some of these other guys, like, you know, like Don Mack didn't get the opportunity to walk. He says something so dumb. No, you got to
cut that guy loose. I agree.
It's just, you know, I want to give Ryan the opportunity to, you know, take this brand to the next level in next gen, and I think he actually has a good head on a good idea of what PlayStation needs to do. He said a very interesting comment, and something that not too many of these executives talk about. And he said that, and you look at video game history,
yes, that's a great point.
The platform holder that wins current gen flops the next gen, and it's because they either get too big of a head, or they think they know what they're doing, or they stop listening to their community. But whatever the reason is, they do fail, and he's got his eyes on that, and that's smart. That's smart that he's not acknowledging that publicly, and he wants to make sure that PlayStation doesn't fall for that same trap. I want to give the guy a shot. So yeah.
No, absolutely. You know what? I'm glad that you brought that up, because I have his comment right in front of me. I'm going to read it for everyone to hear. If you didn't, this was posted on Twitter. This is during an interview, right after a recent interview. It says he was being interviewed by Wired.com, and it says here, Sony Interactive Entertainment CEO Jim Ryan explained in the same article that Sony has to keep pushing PlayStation and its features in order to survive the next generation. The track record for the incumbent platform winning the next time around is not a great one. So the major thrust of my executive energy is to avoid complacency. That's a big point. And you know what? When you hear someone, because like I said, we said it, the guy has said some silly things in the past. But when you hear a comment like that, it's I guess a little reassuring that at least, you know, he understands that that next generation, which starts in, I don't know, give or take 13 months, isn't an automatic W like some people will suggest on the internet. But to close out this half of this ginormous topic, I want to get to Zemi Games. You know, GameDaily.biz reported that these changes were because it was the start of the new fiscal year, and it makes sense But then, of course, this bombshell article claiming that there's been some corporate infighting happened at Sony, and there's obviously it seems that it's amid some reconstruction confusion and still a power struggle. For you, knowing the business the way that you do you think that it was a little unusual the way Sean was? That we found out Sean Layden was leaving, but more specifically that we have not heard from him yet.
I mean, not necessarily. I mean, there's a lot of theories going around. There's some evidence to kind of prove one theory maybe has more ground than the other, but I don't think anything is 100% conclusive yet. I don't think that any of us have enough information or enough sources or anything like that to say this is what happened versus this is what happened. Maybe he just decided to retire. He's been with the company for 30 something years. Maybe he just decided that he wanted to retire. Maybe some of the infighting, some difference in opinions, maybe that, got him a little upset and he decided to go for an early retirement, or maybe just to go and try something new. Maybe PlayStation pushed him out. No one knows. But with him, in regards of him, not, getting up on a podium and giving a speech and like having, I guess, a more proper farewell, that might be evidence that maybe Sony wants to get him, out silently. Then again, that might be evidence that he's upset and he doesn't want to talk about it. And then maybe again, he just doesn't want a big deal about this. Some people are like that. Some people, if they leave a company, they don't want to have a party, which is perfectly, acceptable and understandable as well. So I don't, ultimately, I don't think really enough is known about this yet. I think eventually we will know, probably here in 4 or 5 years, maybe in 2 years, somebody will make like a mini documentary and put it up on YouTube. But as it currently stands, I don't think enough information is known. But one thing I definitely think is either way you look at it, this is not good news for PlayStation. This is going to make it harder for them going in the future, from a PR standpoint, and then just from, the standpoint of having a major guy that had been with the company 30 something years, now gone. Think of the ideas that he could have put towards PlayStation that he's no longer going to be able to. So I think ultimately, as far as him leaving, I don't really have a standpoint on that. I don't really know what happened, but I think ultimately this is not, the greatest news for PlayStation.
No, I absolutely would agree with that. And this is where we have to say that there's a lot more going on internally with not just Jim Ryan, not just everyone that's leaving. It's starting to affect the third-party developers, and this is where I start to say, where there's smoke, there is fire. Now, BitCloud, I'm going to come back to you because Game Daily published a bombshell of an article making some serious claims. And they started talking about how third-party developers were, and I'm going to get the exact quote, okay? Speaking under the condition of secrecy, Game Daily source relayed what his company is currently facing. This is the least amount of clarity we have ever had on a new console this close to transition. This is what the source is saying. I believe the global restructuring has the potential to have significant issues, as well as already make the process of transition to a new generation difficult. And we are now getting nervous, very nervous. Now, this is, again, we don't know who is saying this. For all we know, this could be a mom and pop, a garage band making a game. We don't know if this is a major third-party AAA developer, because obviously it's under secrecy. But when you start to hear this, right after the first half of this article, as a PlayStation fan, Do you have concerns that this kind of craziness right before the launch of a major generational leap, apparently in technology, for Sony, the worldwide market leader, do you have some concerns?
Not really, and the reason why, you guys are at the start of every gen, there's a thing called developmental hell.
Right.
That they go
Yes.
to
Of
to
course.
get games out there, and remember that's the first priority. They force, they prioritize the games, right, and they rush them out there just to meet the quota so that you can make the jump to next gen. Now, obviously, next gen with PS4 or PS5, we're going to be relying heavily on kind of like what we saw with Xbox One X, enhanced titles. You're going to see a lot of that. They're going to use that as their thing to jump from PS4 to PS5. A lot of PS4 games are going to get upgrades going into PS5, and that's pretty much going to be their thing. They don't really necessarily have anything else if you think about it right now that we know of, right? Ghost of Tsushima, odds are Sony's going to try and do what they did last gen with The Last of Us 1. They're probably going to do that with Ghost of Tsushima going into PS5.
Yes.
And
Absolutely.
I do believe that that's really going to happen because that's kind of the trend that they've been doing so far. Because remember, we already got the release date for The Last of Us Part 2. That comes in February. So it makes sense to end the gen with a new game that has the potential to be something even bigger going into next gen. So they're going to have that. But as far as, where they're standing, I don't think they're in trouble at all. I think maybe it's a little taken out of context. I mean, hell, there was an article that came out a few days ago, which I actually thought, and I was going to do a video on until I waited, but it was involving the Scarlet and the PS5 using cameras.
Yeah, that was Microsoft debunked that immediately. Actually, their PR team jumped all over that. We talked about it, hypothetically on yesterday's show, but they that's the one thing I have to give Microsoft credit. They jumped right on that, man.
Yeah, that was a huge statement going around. That's like, okay, I don't know what to believe at this point, and Sony hasn't really commented on that, which is interesting. But then again, it's actually not, since Sony.
Well, they already have PlayStation VR, so
I'm saying they're working on another VR.
Yeah, I can't wait. I'm so stoked.
That kind of makes sense. They probably would have a camera since they're working on another one. But right now, I don't see it as a big deal. I think they're fine.
Okay, I mean, listen, it makes sense. Right now, it's all speculation, right? We don't know how or if this is if it's going to cause any trouble.
Right. If it was a legit developer, because remember, if this was a big developer that we know,
if this was like Ubisoft coming out and saying it, then we'd have.
When this came out, they wouldn't be secrecy. They wouldn't be no secrecy. They'd be like, "Hey, look, the console is this. Where we're having trouble. That's it." And remember, they were the first ones. That came out in this generation after Watch Dogs came out, saying that, well, the consoles aren't that powerful. Remember that? They were the first ones that came out and said that.
They did say that. Yes, they did.
The consoles are not the most powerful consoles, and this is after they literally said "screw you" and literally fucking lied to us with the Watch Dogs demo. Yeah, God knows we all fell for that damn hype train when we saw that damn Watch Dogs 1 demo. We all thought that was what we were going to get. And we were like, oh, that's amazing. That looks incredible. We get the game. It looks not even close to that. So
I put it to this way, Big Cloud. It's going to be interesting to see how they transition. And I'm sure they're going to do well. I mean, obviously, that's the one thing about Sony is their PR is pretty stout. That's why I was a little surprised with all of this. But Noof Nukem, I want to go to you because, the third-party nervousness around the PlayStation 5 imminent launch isn't directly attributed to either leader, whether that be Jim Ryan or, of course, Sean Layden. But there's been a fair amount of internal secrecy so that the data information isn't leaked before launch. And that makes sense. But internal teams are slow. And this isn't just one third-party developer. This is several that say internal teams are slow to receive word about the new console, which means that third-party developers and publishers are being kept in the dark far more now than in past cycles. As a gamer, as a content creator, and someone that is very opinionated, do you think that with the secrecy surrounding it, and it has to be secrecy between the, with the new consoles coming out, because I'm sure they have an idea of what each other is doing, but they don't know absolutely facts, right? So there has to be secrecy. But when you put the troubles that have now been put out there for everyone to see, that there's internal struggles going on, and then of course the imminent PS5 launch, do you personally see that this could be a concern for the PlayStation 5 having out the gate explosion like they did with the PS4, or possibly seeing what happened with Xbox and limping out of the gate for next generation?
No, honestly, I don't think PlayStation 5 is a whole lot of trouble getting out of the gate here. I think the biggest stepping stone any of them are going to have to deal with is going to be price, right? That'll be the biggest stumbling block overall. But we know when it comes to power, it's all about the way your platform is perceived, and there's no secret that PS4 rode a bit of a windstorm when it launched, largely because one, it was $100 less than the Xbox One, and it also, of course, the power narrative was pushed pretty hard at that point, and no different than Microsoft came out and pushed the power advantage when the X came out. It was everywhere. Play it on the world's most powerful console. Like, so this is a marketing term here, right? I'm pretty sure that both PS5 and Scarlet are going to be fantastic machines. But again, it's all about the perception. And the one thing we do know with Sony is that their games are going to be top notch. We're looking forward to more top notch games to come. Like I said, The Last of Us 2 is around the corner. I have no doubt in my mind that that's going to be another stellar game. It's going to be phenomenal with or without multiplayer, honestly. And then you got Ghost of Tsushima, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot of other games. I speculate at some point in time we'll see a new Uncharted, et cetera, et cetera. Maybe not a Nathan Drake Uncharted, but I don't think they're done with that franchise, so on and so forth. So again, it's just all about perception. And yeah, there's a few things going on. There's a lot of internal shuffling, but as far as that, you also don't want to let the opponents get the leg up on you, that sort of thing, and the wrong information coming out. But it is kind of weird. I mean, at this point in time, you think the developers would largely have pretty set specs on what we're looking at for developing games and stuff like that. So I don't know. I don't have much more to say on this, but I think the console will be fine. Again, it's price and how much the hardcore go out and adopt. And that's the thing with the streaming now. The streaming really, the aspect of things and being able to play your games in other places that's the biggest marketing fix now, because a lot of people are already starting to gravitate more to sort of other ways to play. So your hardware aspect and the amount of investment you put into making these consoles, you have to appropriately reflect that too, like the demand for the actual hardware. Because you look at my Xbox list right now. I don't know. A lot of frauds on there, or
I love it,
because I go on the my friends list now, and a year or two ago, where he's like, "No, there's no way I'm playing on PC. I'm not touching PC with a 10-foot pole." And I go down my list, and there's like fucking 30% of them with the little fucking computer icon. I'm like, "You dirty lying prick."
I love it.
But anyway, I get off topic here. But you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's could be a trend there too. So I don't know. I don't want to get like too stirred up and off the pot or off the topic here, but I think we'll be just fine.
Yeah, no, I agree. Slow-mo, I want to go to you next on this. There's obviously, with everything that we've went over on today's show, there's certainly more questions as to what to expect under Jim Ryan's leadership now that Layden is gone, including Ryan's philosophy for the PlayStation 5, and what's expected, which is expected to launch in 2020. Do you, with the track record of Sony in this generation, and it's been a long 5 years for them, good 5 years for them, do you expect that that is going to continue, and that the PlayStation 5 should launch, even with all of this, now public information about internal fighting and so what, launch with no problem?
I don't think they're going to have any problem launching. Sean Layden did a great job, and especially in the last half of this current generation with World War Studios, with the first party. I don't think they're going to have any issues in regards to software. There is that whole that quote where this is I can't remember if they said it was the communication or the most quiet they've seen a platform or something like that. But regardless, I was saying it's best to kind of end the internal conflicts and just get everyone on one message, on one
Yes.
one accord going forward. They're still a year out from launch. There's still enough time to be able to iron out any issues and take care of any concerns that any major third-party publishers may be having. So I do think that they'll be fine. I don't think they're going to have any issues. They are the most recognized worldwide brand
Yes.
for gaming, and there are a lot of people who, and something that we haven't thought about yet is there are a lot of people who now in this generation now have large digital libraries. So in order to get someone to really say, you know what, I mean, you're really going to have to do a whole lot wrong to
get someone to be like, yeah, I'm going to leave those 200 games behind. Screw you, Sony. Yeah.
Right. And I just can't see that happening. They're going to be fine.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. And of course, last but certainly not least, Zemi Games, I want to get your opinion on this because obviously you said something very interesting when we were talking about you waiting on The Last of Us 2 and Ghost of Tsushima simply because the PlayStation 5 is right around the corner. It's 13 months away. I'm imagining, and again, I have no information. I wish I did, but I'm figuring that we're going to probably get a September 12th or 14th launch for the PS5. I'm not September, November 14th or 12th, somewhere around that week is when the PlayStation 5 is going to launch. That's just my opinion. As a future buyer of the PlayStation brand, with what's going on, with the information that we have divulged today, that's being reported upon by numerous of the trades, would that deter you in any way from possibly picking up a PlayStation 5?
No, not really. I mean, I think if nothing else, we'll get, a PlayStation 4 with the same exact features that, just has a lot better hardware. I think that would be like the worst case scenario of this. I don't think PlayStation's going to make any massive mistakes along the line of all of that. And I think where like a lot of this like whole idea is coming around is the third party developer coming out and announcing, that they're nervous or, all this different stuff that we're not getting as much as much hardware from PlayStation as we did in past years to really play with it and stuff. And I think with a lot of that rumor, a lot is riding on, the console releases of this year. Xbox wants to have a comeback and they seem to have a technology advantage. PlayStation wants to stay on top. Historically, the successful, console is not the successful console, the generation that follows. And I think that they really want to do everything in their power to, bang out an amazing console. No one wants to be on the bottom of next generation.
Right.
And so I think PlayStation's playing their, cards really close. I'm sure Xbox is probably doing the same thing. No one wants any leaks. And a lot is riding on this, with the tariffs, could possibly be charging, more for consoles. They're trying to organize that. What hardware can they afford to put into the system if these tariffs go off? I think a lot is riding on this generation of console releases more than probably the last two generations. And so I think, I think that that's probably a big reason if PlayStation isn't really giving a lot of these developers as much of like a development kit as they had like in the previous years. I think that would probably have a big saying to do with it, but I don't think that is any indication that PlayStation is not going to come out with a quality console. They might be spending a little bit more time. They may not know exactly how they want their software to work. If they're going to allow, crossplay, if they're not going to allow crossplay. There's certain things with their software, like their operating system on like the new PlayStation 5 that they may not be 100%, either way. But, that type of stuff can always come in updates later on. I don't think that there's going to be any big major issue with the PlayStation 5 that's going to cause a lot of PlayStation fans to be upset.
No, I mean, that makes sense. That makes perfect sense. And obviously they are probably going to they're probably going to continue the same trend in regards to quality. We know is going to be there. Messaging should be there. Again, with new people involved, we don't know what the messaging they should follow the same pattern that they did this entire generation. But this has been a massive topic. We've been on this for quite a bit, and I want to go on to the topic number 3 for the show. PlayStation gets into the Game Pass business with a huge offer for PlayStation 4 owners regarding PS Now, but you need to read the fine print before buying. Now, obviously, the PlayStation Now service has had a rocky road, to say the least, but to Sony's credit, they have been making big changes to the service, and one of those biggest changes so far were the additions of God of War, Uncharted 4, and Grand Theft Auto 5. Now, there's a current offer that's available for all PlayStation 4 owners, where it's $60 for a full year of PS Now, and it's something that a lot of people have jumped on. A lot of my friends have messaged me privately like, oh man, this is a great deal, I'm going to jump in it because God of War is in there. And here's the thing, folks. When you start to look at the fine print of this deal, it's not all unicorns and rainbows. And I want to break down why that is. There are still a ton of differences that need to be addressed almost immediately before I sink any money into PS Now. First and foremost, PS Plus is not included in this, okay? And I think that's a big problem. I think that's a huge mistake, in my opinion. Secondly, Sony's first-party titles are still not there day and date. Another big problem for me. Again, that's just my opinion. And lastly, and this is the deal breaker for me, the new titles that I talked about being at the beginning of this topic have a shelf life expiration date, meaning that they're going to be pulled from the service in a couple of months, and I think that sucks, to be honest with you. If you look at the Xbox Game Pass, right, titles get pulled from there all the time to make room for other new third-party titles. But Microsoft's first-party titles not only are there day and date, but are there permanently. You don't see any of those titles leaving. And I think that is a big, big difference. Now, I want to go to BitCloud first. Okay? This is a $60 deal for PS Now. That's a great price. There's no doubt about it. That is $5 a month. That is very affordable. But for me personally, what I have done videos on, what I've talked about on this show, on many of the shows that I do on a weekly basis, is what I personally want as a PlayStation owner, someone that's buying the PlayStation maximum version, whatever it is, day one, is I want a PlayStation greatness package. That's what I called it in one of my videos that I did on my channel, where it's going to include PS Plus. It's going to include the PlayStation Now upgraded to the point where games are there day and date, first-party games, and first-party games stay there. That's what I want. That's what I'm taking the dive. What are your thoughts on the changes that PS Now have done? And more importantly, is it something that you feel is worth investing your $60 in?
Well, I mean, that's kind of been like a thing that's been going on for the longest, right? PlayStation Now and PS Plus being mixed. With Microsoft announcing, Game Pass Ultimate, you might actually see that in the future. It's not, what I'm saying? The future's not set in stone right now,
right?
But you might see that in the future. You might see PS Now have a PS Plus like upgraded membership, and you'll have both as a bundle, or they might have a bundle where you can buy both like a cheaper price. It might happen in the future, but right now they're not doing it. As far as like games day and date on the service, well, here's the thing. And this is where I kind of already knew they weren't going to do this. And here's why. Sony actually already said in the past they're primarily focused on selling the console. They need to sell the console. That's what their bread and butter is. You know what I'm saying? It's not just the software. It's also console sales. That's their main revenue.
Yes.
So obviously they got to keep those games exclusive to the console to sell the hardware. As far as the shelf life is concerned, this, keep in mind, this whole PlayStation Now thing, you can download games, but that's only for the console. You know what I'm saying? You can't download the games on PC. You have to stream them strictly through PC.
Right.
And these games are not going to be the higher fidelity, nor are they going to be the good performing version on PC because of the streaming quality. By default, all games on the streaming service are 720p, 30 frames per second. You know what I'm saying? God of War runs at a higher performance and frame rate than that on the PS4 Pro. So if you want the true experience, you're still going to need that PS4. And this is why I said Microsoft should have went with Game Pass a long time ago. It's not necessarily just about giving a deal for the consumer, but you also got to prioritize that console. Because remember, it felt like, and it still to this day, it feels like the console gamers who support Xbox are taking a back seat to PC. And that is clearly evident with Gears of War 5. Remember how we talked about Gears 5?
Yep.
Gears 5 has been completely optimized. I don't care what anybody says. That has been completely optimized and prioritized for the PC. They want the extra mile. When a company gives you the option to download additional texture packs for PC.
I heard it's a night and day difference.
Yeah, a 9-day difference with texture packs and all that, plus your freedom of control in terms of like your you set the quality of the world and the game. Dude, they're not prioritizing the console by any stretch of the mind. And that's where Microsoft's whole theory and their mindset has been when it comes to the whole platform. Sony's not necessarily doing that. They are embracing it by putting on PlayStation Now, but keep in mind, Sony's also keeping it safe by doing it, by having it be a limited thing. You know, you're gonna see more games do this. Notice how they had superhero sales on PlayStation on the PlayStation Store, like for Spider-Man and whatnot.
Yes.
Guaranteed they're gonna have months that are gonna be dedicated to superheroes. So you might see that Avengers game on PlayStation Now with Spider-Man next to that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Stuff like that's going to happen. Also, Sony's changing their way they're going about their business in general because, they're cutting out the middleman. You can buy directly through Sony. You guys forgot about that too, but you can buy it directly through Sony. So I would not be surprised if you saw stuff change with PlayStation Now or PlayStation Plus where, like, with the credit cards and whatnot, you get free shipping and stuff like that on their website and all this stuff. Like, I would not be surprised the way Sony's going about the business. There's a lot of interesting things they're doing. But as far as the deal is concerned, $10, it's actually not bad. It's not a bad offer for what you're getting. If you haven't played God of War or Spider-Man or any of these games during that 6-month period or whatever time they were out, on the market before they hit the service, I mean, it's a steal for you. Over 800 games.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it obviously is PlayStation, some of the older stuff, which is fine. I mean, I take nothing away from that at all. It's just for me personally, $60 is a great price. $5 a month is 2 cups of coffee at Dunkin' Donuts a month to get all those games. So,
right.
But for me, for someone who sees Game Pass as the greatest thing since sliced bread, who has been banging the drum to have Nintendo and Sony do, because I will gladly drop money on those services. As a matter of fact, I've been banging the drum to get Origin Access. That's currently only available on PC, which is the EA Access kind of a PC thing for $100 a year. I would gladly drop that on a console. So I'm hoping that it does evolve. That's just me.
It wouldn't surprise me again in the future, right? Right now they're not doing. But it would not surprise me at all in the future if they see those numbers. Because remember, Microsoft changed their whole metric. They're no longer caring about of console sales. They're all about like growth in terms of the service department. So it would not surprise me if they ever did change it up in the future. But right now, they're playing it safe. They're like doing baby steps towards that. That makes sense. You know what I'm saying? Like they're dabbing into it to see how people react. And that's clearly evident by them saying, "Oh, it's a limited time." That's you dabbing in there and testing the waters and seeing people actually react to it the way you want them to say. But yeah, it's possible.
Absolutely. Real quick, Noof, before I get to you, I want to just thank JD Gamer with the outstanding and very generous $5 super chat. He says, what is the biggest mistake that Sony could make? I think it's price. And if Microsoft could trick Sony into going 500 and they go 400, that's a problem. It would be a problem, but my God, as much as I would love a $400 PS5 and an Xbox Scarlet, there's too much tech in there, man. I mean, I just think that they're going to both be $500. I know that I know the people on the Sony side are like, no, Boom, you're wrong. $400, $399. There's just too much in there, man. I'm sorry. Maybe a year from its release, they drop it $50. But the days of these manufacturers eating cost, I don't know, man. It's going to be very interesting. But Noof, listen. The reason why I want to go to you is because we already know that what your stance is when it comes to these services. We know that you're a physical dude, but I still have to get your opinion. Now, the current state of PS Now is not what I personally want. And I've made that perfectly clear on today's show, which is why I'm not jumping in for $60. Not the way I want to spend my $60. I'd rather just go buy a game. But do you think that what they have done with the service so far is worth the $60 a month? And would it be something that you might consider doing, or is it just a total pass for you?
Well, let's just say the PS4 Pro and the Xbox One X have been on the market for close to 2 years now. We haven't really seen significant drops outside of the odd sale here and there. So that should tell you something about the next gen. No, if they're not coming in at $400, so brace your wallets for the next ones. And I think Sony and Microsoft, for the most part, are fine with that. They're not willing to take a massive risk and a huge loss on the next hardware. I know that's not the topic at hand, though. We're talking PlayStation Plus or the PlayStation Now. Let's give Sony some credit here. They are at least moving the service in the right direction. It's come a long ways from where it was a couple of years ago when it launched. First of all, the ability to download the games to the console is amazing and much better than the whole, streaming and cross your fingers and hope your internet doesn't shit the bed for a couple of minutes. So that in itself is huge. I mean, I applaud them for putting in the big AAA stuff. I mean, God of War, games like God of War, Spider-Man, those things would definitely draw people to the service. But it is unfortunate that, again, it's a short-term, fine print. They're here for a couple of months. But, sometimes that's all it takes. It just takes it's like restaurants do it all the time. They have these big deals, these big coupons or a big promotion. You get everybody in dirt cheap or free coffees or whatever it might be, and then you have customers sometimes for life. You just get in the door, and I would imagine for anyone who's getting PlayStation Now and getting those games, there will probably be some sort of a deal or a discount if you chose to go purchase them. Now, eventually down the road, I suspect they will go pull a full Microsoft, and the service will be a near reflection of Game Pass to some degree or another. But I think Sony is in a different spot. They are transitioning a little bit slowlier in that way, because I think they also know they got more consoles in the wild. They can sell these games at more like full price as well, and not completely just say, here guys, go for it over on the the less expensive PlayStation Now, because at the end of the day, $60 might sound like a lot, but in essence of the amount of games that you have access to, the older titles, the newer titles, play what you want, as much as you want, as long as you're spending that money, it's still a fantastic value. I mean, most of us in this community, we buy at least one game a month, and up here in Canada, that's $80 right off the bat. $80 in this past 5 or 6 weeks alone. I don't even want to contemplate how much money I've spent. I've dropped 80 on Zelda. I've dropped 80 on Astral Chain. Dropped 100 and something on Gears of War 5. What else did I get?
Ghost Recon is today.
Yeah, Ghost Recon today. Bought No Man's Sky, the Beyond version for VR. So that was another 40. So that's a couple hundred right there. I've already paid for PlayStation Now and Xbox Game Pass and a subscription to the service. You know what I mean? But I know I am the anomaly. Let's not get into Noof is stupid here, because look, as stupid as the stupid does. You know what I mean? It's not about being stupid. It's just that's not how I work. I am going to be the last old behemoth dinosaur going into this. You need to buy me digital era. That is how I roll. I will not give in. I don't care if you give it free. I am not giving in. I'm telling these guys you can take it to the bank with a big middle finger. I want to control the way I consume my games, not them tell me how I need to consume them. That is how I roll. I am not changing for no one.
Hey, listen, you know what? I applaud you every time you come out here and you say that. I do, because like I said, like yourself, my brother Neo Mental, who I think most people know is my brother. I used to break my balls. I was still buying music CDs and DVDs and Blu-rays and games. I had shelves upon shelves, and something just switched one day where it was just, my God, it was just too much stuff in the house. So I went digital, but I applaud you for that. There's no doubt about it. But great points as always, Noof. Love your opinion, love your honesty. I really, really do. Slow-mo, I want to go to you. Look, I've said this. Sony's making the necessary changes to the service, and in truth, it's way overdue, but you have to applaud them, like Noof was saying, that they are, in fact, making these changes. And like I said earlier, it's not enough for me, but for you, is the new vision or direction when it comes to PS Now, is that something that you would invest your $60 in?
I already invested my my money into PS Now.
Okay.
I've had Game Pass and PS Now both for I've had Game Pass for over a year. I've had PS Now for almost a year. I think it will be coming up on a year next month, because this time last year they did a sale on PS Now where it was $60 for a year.
Okay.
Now that is the actual price for it all year round, but that was something that I wanted to give it a shot. I wanted to try it for myself. There were some games in there that I wanted to play, like Gravity Rush, stuff, little games like that, but they're exclusive to the PlayStation platform. So this change, I think, I'm actually, prior to them coming out with this announcement, I was deciding to not re-up because I wasn't really using it that much, and I don't really use Game Pass or PS Now that much because a lot of the games that I see in both of the libraries are games I already own. When it comes to the exclusives, yeah, with Game Pass, when Gears 5 came out, I was on it. When Out of the Worlds comes out later this month, I'm going to be on it day one. And so that's why I was going to keep Game Pass and not keep PS Now, because there was just nothing exclusive wise that was still in there that I hadn't already played and that wasn't current. Now, although despite the fact that I've already got God of War, I've already got Infamous Second Son, and I already have like all the games that they announced initially, GTA 5, Uncharted 4, I played through them all. But I'm encouraged by this change because it just lets me know, and they even said that there will be more coming soon.
Yes, yes, they did.
Seeing Days Gone going there, because Days Gone is a game that I wasn't all that interested in. I had a marginal interest in it, but not enough to actually buy the game. Yeah, with PS Now, I'll try it. That's not a problem for me. There are other games that are coming in, like Concrete Genie. I ain't buying Concrete Genie. Sorry. But I'll try it in PS Now.
Yes.
So eventually, I don't expect Sony to ever go day and date like Microsoft. I don't think they'll ever do that. I don't think they can convince, even if there is someone in the leadership of SIE that thinks that way. They are in the vast minority. I think Game Pass and also the looming inclusion of Google Stadia, which I think is going to be dead on arrival, but regardless,
it certainly is.
I think those two services kind of push this along, and this is what we want. Competition is great. We always win when there's competition.
Yes,
because
sir.
PS Now wouldn't have downloads right now if it wasn't for Game Pass. It wouldn't be the service that it is right now if it wasn't for providing services that people like, and Sony seeing people like this feature. We should do that. And so I do think that we're going to get some more games in there. I do think that they're going to eventually go to a 90-day model. So I think what they'll do is say, like, let's take Ghost of Tsushima, for instance. I think when Ghost of Tsushima is going to launch, it's going to be only playable on the PS4, and as all their exclusives are. But I think after 90 days, they're going to put that game on PS Now, because there is this model, well, not model, this is pure fact that after 90 days, it's very rare that you recover the same sales clip.
Yes.
You don't really sell as much as you did in those first 90 days for the rest of that title's life cycle. So at that point, there's just no reason to not put it in there, because you're going to be, for the people who haven't picked up that game, it's something they could try. And they may, in the same way with Game Pass, the way Game Pass actually bumps sales for games that are leaving the service. People try it and they find out they actually like the game, and they end up wanting to buy it, or they end up just continue to play it through the service. So it will be a good benefit to PS Now to put those games in there after 90 days at the very least. So
yeah, no, there's no
I'm
doubt
all for
about
the
it.
service.
Yeah, well, I'm going to say this, Slow-Mo. The metrics for Microsoft has proven that games in that particular service, especially when they're not getting any shelf support. Obviously newer games are coming on, right? And the older games are being moved to the second, third, fourth shelf. And when they're in Game Pass, they're making more money. I mean, Phil Spencer said it, so I can see Sony doing it. But closing out this topic, Zemi, I want to get your opinion on this, because you see, my biggest problem with the service is the fact that their first-party games get in there and then they have a shelf life, and I don't like that. Whereas when you look at Microsoft, all of their first parties get in there and they stay in there. And I kind of feel like these three games, God of War, Grand Theft Auto 5, which is not a first party, obviously, and Uncharted 4, is just a basic smokescreen to entice PlayStation owners to join the service and then have these games removed. Now, we know that some of the games in this service, for the PS Now service, they're not that great. Not saying that these three aren't. These three are phenomenal. But I would like for them, at least two of the three, because obviously Grand Theft Auto 5 is a third party, would like to see their first party games stay. And I think that would entice more people to join the service. They don't actually have to go out and buy the game, or at least play the game now. Like, let's say, for instance, you're playing, you're waiting for a new game. Ghost Recon came out today, and you want to play that because it's a new game. In the back of your mind as a gamer, you don't have to worry that if you missed out on God of War, and shame on you if you did, and I have to play it because it's going to be out of the service. Whereas, like, Microsoft's first-party games, they're in there for good. What are your thoughts on that, dude?
Yeah, I mean, so I'm kind of in the same boat as you. I really wish that they would adopt what Microsoft has done with their first party games being day and date. That is a huge thing that is kind of stopping me from biting to try out PlayStation Now on my PC. But I agree with what a lot of people have said throughout this whole topic. I think a lot of people have hit the nail on the head. I think that this is probably most likely a trial run for them. They're trying to test the waters, see if this is a viable option, if their consumer base would be interested in this type of service. But I also think that eventually they are probably going to adopt something more similar to what Xbox has done fully, with allowing, first party games to be on there, have a certain time schedule. If it's not day and date, maybe it's a week, maybe it's 90 days, like Slow-Mo said. I definitely think that they're going to eventually adopt something closer to Microsoft if this, if PlayStation Now, the way that they have it now, succeeds for them. I think the price at $60 for a year is absolutely amazing for the consumer, but what kind of worries me about that is it's really good for the consumer, but I don't know how good that is going to be for PlayStation necessarily. And the reason being is, for what it is right now, for how they have everything set up right now, I think it's a perfect price model. But if PlayStation or Sony starts adopting what Microsoft has done, first party games day and date, or a week after or 90 days after, I don't know if that $60 price tag is going to be enough money to support them in doing that service. And if they then decide, here in, 6 months to adopt what Microsoft has done, they might possibly have to raise the price of the service. And that's going to have a very negative connotation with the consumers. Nobody likes it whenever Netflix bumped their price. Nobody's really going to like it gamers are really not going to like it whenever they have to pay more for something that they were originally getting for a set price. But ultimately, I'm probably not going to bite until they do something more similar to Xbox and, allow me to play Uncharted on my PC, a week after it comes out or 90 days after it comes out or, day and date. I'm probably not going to bite until then.
I mean, it makes sense. I mean, obviously, like I said, I'm pretty set in stone where even though $60, when you break it down, $5 a month isn't a lot, it's not what I want from the service. And I will not give Sony my money in regards to their to this service until it's exactly what I'm looking for. And I say that same thing about Nintendo. I buy all their first party games because I love them. I buy also the only reason why I have a PlayStation 4 is for their first party market share. I don't play anything else on there because I have the Xbox for that, and that's where I want to play. But I still buy just about every first party. Except for Death Stranding, I'm not buying that. That's a horse of another color. But great point, and I am right there with you. But we're going to move on to the fourth topic. This is where and I was just informed that Arnold Schwarzenegger, folks, is in the building, and so we're going to move on to Mortal Kombat 11. And the Terminator wrecks shop in the new gameplay trailer, and it looks absolutely amazing. Now, listen, I'm going to say this. If Mortal Kombat wasn't already fighting game of the year, it appears that NetherRealm Studio isn't resting on those laurels. In fact, the guest characters slated for Mortal Kombat, the guest characters that have been slated for the Combat Pack 1 might be the best in the series. And one of those outstanding characters is none other than the Terminator himself, Arnold Schwarzenegger, as the infamous T-800. And the latest trailer is not only brutal, but really packs a punch. Now, the character has his signature shotgun, grenades, time travel abilities, and sheer brute strength. The T-800 is a force to be reckoned with. So, Arnold, I want to go to you because there's 2 points I want to make, Arnold. First of all, it's great that your likeness is in the game, and I think that's a big thing for Terminator fans. We have the new film coming out very soon, but I'm a little disappointed that they didn't come to you directly so you can actually voice the character. What are your thoughts on that?
Good morning, everybody. Mr. Boomstick, I just wanted to tell you got to live. No, this is a great game, and I'm very honored to be there and be in this game. But I got to tell you this much, that I was very disappointed they didn't come to me directly and get my input and my and all of my voice acting in there is terrible. I mean, this guy that's there, he's a terrible impersonator. I don't know where they got him, but they should have had me there so I could come out there and kick ass. I mean, but this game just keeps growing and the characters get bigger and better. I love the likeness. It looks just like me. It's fantastic. And now you get to play as the Terminator, the T-800 model. I look a little bit older, but that's it. You just more experience. You just bring it. But man, I can't believe. I mean, here I am. All I had to do was reach out on the phone and say, Mr. Schwarzenegger, you want to come over here on the chopper and then maybe come on and do some voice acting and get this game out there? But no, they got this guy who can't sound like me at all. It's terrible. So that gets a big no for me. But I'm here. I'm glad to be on this podcast. I can't tell you enough about how awesome this game is, how awesome the movie is going to be in a couple of months. Make sure you get out there and actually watch the film. It's going to be great. The Terminator is back, baby. Now go, get to the chopper.
Well, listen, thanks so much for being here. I do appreciate it. And I will be writing that check as soon as the show is done, and I will be sending that over to make sure that you will come back for future appearance. But Noof Nukem, all jokes aside, I have to go to you on this because obviously when you talk about what Mortal Kombat has done for the fighting genre, I mean, it was a real... I mean, the fighting genre is still around, but this game was a real shot in the arm. And one thing is certain. Not only is the guest character list outstanding, but wow, they really went to town. I mean, did you see the fatality where he warped after blowing off Jack's legs? He shoots him in the kneecaps. He warps him to the future where Skynet has taken over, and the Terminators, the exoskeletons, blow him to pieces. It was unbelievable. I mean, I couldn't even imagine that. What were your thoughts on the trailer, dude?
Yeah, well, kudos to NetherRealm and this Mortal Kombat franchise, which keeps taking it up a notch. I mean, this game is top notch. It's the first game I've actually dropped coin on a fighter in a very, very long time. I've kind of gotten away from that sort of genre of games. This one is stellar. Graphically, it looks amazing. They did a great job on Arnold, at least from the the capture of him and all that stuff. And the fatalities are just incredible. Like I said, I don't know who comes up with this stuff, but they keep getting more imaginative and crazy all the time. But which has been one of the selling factors of Mortal Kombat. You always know you're in for some outrageous, crazy characters that do some crazy stuff. So it is pretty cool. It's I don't know how this stuff really all ties in. I'm excited to see when Spawn comes out too, by the way. But yeah, like I don't know how they come up with picking characters, what's going to go in this game, but obviously I guess a lot of it has to do with the fact that Warner Brothers is a publisher, and obviously Warner Brothers has had a huge stake in the Terminator franchise for quite a few years now, so that obviously makes sense from a licensing perspective. So it is cool. I mean, it helps expand the franchise to people who might not have otherwise picked up a Mortal Kombat game just because maybe they know Arnold, they know the Terminator. I mean, we saw the Terminator show up in Gears, for crying out loud. So it's pretty crazy how this cross-licensing stuff is starting to take place, and we're going to see more of that in the future for sure, just because it makes for DLC as well that is almost... Like that's the thing. They have to find new ways to bait people into franchises now with DLC, because microtransactions are taking a bit of a hit. They've obviously come under fire a lot the last few years. So this is the kind of thing where when you drop a few bucks on it, you're just kind of like, well, that is pretty cool. That I can get behind, right? Because you can't get the character anywhere else or whatever. But yeah, that's pretty cool. Like I said, I'm very disappointed though with that voice acting when there are obviously people in this industry who can do
a much better impression for sure.
That's
and and again, it's shocking that they didn't actually, because we don't know if they asked Arn Arms like, nah, I'm not doing that, forget it. But it would have been great to have him in there. But J Force Gaming drops an outstanding $3 super chat, and he says, Noof, thanks for the laughs in the chat. So Noof wanted to give you the heads up. Thanks for J-Force Gaming for being here. Big Cloud, I want to go to you because, like we were all saying, Mortal Kombat 11, there's no doubt it's fighting game of the year. What NetherRealm Studios continues to do with this franchise that has seen 11 full iterations, it blows my mind that they continue to innovate this way. What were your thoughts with the new Terminator trailer and that outstanding and ridiculous, by the way, fatality?
Well, first they had me sold immediately when he first did the introduction, because it's like he pulled the shotgun out of the Rose box and it showed a bunch of Johnny Cage figures. That's basically a reference to Terminator 2 with the roses. So I thought that was cool. Man, it was dope. It kind of makes you wonder: is there any character that they cannot fit into this universe that actually make them work?
Barney might not work, but I would like to see it. I'm going to be honest with you.
Because you guys remember Tekken, they announced they got Negan from the Walking Dead series in there, and I was like, damn, how the hell you get Negan in Tekken but not in the Mortal Kombat universe? He would have been perfect for Mortal Kombat. Yes. Especially that baseball bat scene from the show. That'd have been a crazy fatality if they actually threw it in there, but they never got it in there.
As far as funny?
Yeah.
Sorry to cut you off, but what would have been funny is Negan doing fatalities where he hits the heads and there's like a baseball, outfield, and he keeps hitting them over the fence.
That actually would have been really cool.
400 feet.
Dope though. They would have like legit probably would have redone the entire scene. Taking like a champ, and you're all dizzy and just beast the hell out of you. Like that would have been cool. But looking at the actual character, I'm wondering how they're gonna do Spawn. I'm guessing they're legit saving the best for last because Spawn's got to be on the next level to top this.
Oh
because
yeah.
It was incredible. The voice acting did definitely throw me through a loop. But he was like, "Get over here," and he did the little choke slam, whatever he did. But what really sold it to was the fact that if you're going against like a fire type person like Scorpion, you can burn off the flesh.
Yes, that was awesome.
And he turns it to like the actual
exoskeleton.
the
Yes,
exoskeleton, which was insane. So that's kind of cool how that actually plays in the combat. That adds a new level of insaneness to the combat. The fatalities. Now, keep in mind, there's 2 fatalities. Each person has 2 fatalities. So the first one we saw was with the whole, him sending you to the future. I'm wondering if the second one involves the T-1000.
Oh wow, yeah, maybe.
It's possible the T-1000 like that. That would have been cool, but it's awesome, man. It was really cool. Him going into the fire, him turning into the exoskeleton to end it. That's really cool for a character. And as far as the voice actor is concerned, I remember they didn't get the voice actor for Freddy Krueger. Remember, they just kind of like just do him in there.
Yeah, they did. They could have gotten him probably for cheap too, because obviously,
Yeah. So that's pretty much all the iconic characters. Now we think about it, they kind of were able to throw into the franchise. We got Freddy Krueger in here. We got Jason was thrown in here.
Mike Myers is the only one that they haven't done yet, which would be interesting.
Yeah, there you go. Mike Myers will definitely more likely be another one in another installment, maybe. Yeah. But yeah, they pretty much doing all the legends, the legendary killers into the universe, and they actually worked, which is insane.
Yeah, only in Mortal Kombat could they work, though. I mean that's and how elaborate they are when it comes to the fatalities.
Oh yeah,
and even their fighting. It's just it's like I said, it's very exciting.
They're very creative.
Yes,
give them that. They're very very creative.
Absolutely.
I didn't think it would be that. I didn't even think it would work. To be honest, when I first saw when they first gave the hint when they played the Terminator theme, I actually didn't think it would work. Terminator in the the Mortal Kombat world. I'm like, I don't know how you gonna do it. This just changed my whole perspective, and I'm just that much more hyped for Spawn to see how Spawn's going to look in the world, see his fatalities and whatnot. So,
I'm waiting for the confirmation of Ash Williams from The Evil Dead, which we already know he's in there. He's full of S, but I'm waiting for that also. But yeah, great points. Slow-mo, I want to get to you on this. Did you get a chance to see the new trailer for the Terminator and the fatalities? And what are your thoughts on Mortal Kombat so far?
Did see it. I thought it was pretty funny. I'm not a fighting game fan, so I really haven't played Mortal Kombat since dating myself Sega Genesis. and I chose Sega because that's the one that had the blood, because Super Nintendo had sweat instead of blood. But yeah, I'm not really into it, but I do recognize and I think it's a great idea how they keep bringing these characters from different these popular characters from different properties into the game, because it keeps the game alive. Because typically what you see with games is that there's that initial period at launch where everyone's into it, everyone's enjoying it, and then it kind of falls off.
Yes,
you keep bringing in new characters, and they're characters that people love, and then and with those fatalities, I mean, you can really get really creative and really hilarious with how you're allowing these characters to really kill people. So I think that's a great idea. I hope they continue it until the next game. Just keep dropping new characters, keep bringing in characters, and just really give that Mortal Kombat community a lot to look forward to.
No doubt about that. Lansville Paul in the chat said the creature from Jeepers Creepers, which by the way is a creepy freaking character, especially in the first one because you didn't get a chance. The bat thing, yeah, that would be because you can fly the character up and drop him, whatever. That's actually an interesting. That's actually would be a good one.
It would be great if they explain his lore before they ever actually put him in the universe. Because that last movie was, terrible.
Yeah, no idea. Still no idea what the H is going on with that character. But it's still one of those B creepy movies. Definitely would be interesting. Slow-mo. I just got to you. Oh my God, Zemi Games, Jesus Christ! I'm sorry, I'm reading the chat and I'm moving up my notes. Zemi, listen, okay, the game is technically has some scare factor to it, but it's still Mortal Kombat, and I'm wondering whether or not you would play it. Because obviously you don't like horror stuff, but did you get a chance to at least take a look at the Terminator trailer? What are your thoughts on how NetherRealm and continues to just innovate the fatalities for each of these? And I mean, if you think about it, the roster is packed, so they have to keep coming up with two fatalities per character. It's pretty ingenious how they continue to innovate on that. What are your thoughts on the Terminator one, though?
Well, I mean, I am a coward, Boom, but I don't think I'm that bad yet.
Okay, all right.
I would definitely play Mortal Kombat. I've played Mortal Kombat before.
Okay, excellent.
And I haven't played the game yet. I do want to. I'm not huge on like the whole fighter genre. I do like Mortal Kombat. Played those in the past. I like Dragon Ball Z. I played those in the past as well. So I do like somewhat fighting games. I'm just not huge into it. I'm more or less waiting for the game to be heavily on sale for me to pick it up because there's just so much other stuff coming out. But, whenever I heard that they were, adding in all these new characters, I was like, okay, well, it's going to be like a little skin and, maybe they'll have like a few special moves. But like it blew my mind how detailed this was. I mean, you guys are talking about the voice actor. I don't know about all that. I didn't notice any of that. But just like him whipping out the shotgun, the pistols, throwing grenades, time jumping left and right. Like the fatality was just absolutely fantastic. How they sent, I don't even know that character's name.
Jax was Jax. Who went to the future.
How they sent him back, and he had no legs. It was like a Lieutenant Dan moment. He was trying to crawl away, and the T-800s were just not having that. They blew out his chest with that big laser gun. That was just awesome. I love like how whenever Scorpion I think caught him on fire, like all of his flesh melted away and he came out like with the exoskeleton. And I mean, just the detail, like even whenever he's walking like towards like the, your opponent or whatever, like it just reminds me so much of like the Terminator films and just like the emotion of like his like walking stride. And I don't know, I really, really like it. And one day I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get it whenever it's on sale. I'm gonna get the DLC, and I'm gonna hopefully be able to play.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the end of the year is coming, folks, and you know that Xbox, and I believe Sony does it as well. Well, they have that massive
Flash
12 days of Christmas sale where things are heavily discounted. A lot of stuff that I missed, I'm gonna try and pick up then for sure. But we're closing in on just 2 hours, and I do have one small topic left. I want to talk about it before we get everybody out of here. The house that built the new Tomb Raider trilogy is hard at work at Marvel's The Avengers, and they just released some new co-op mode information, co-op and multiplayer missions information that I want to talk about. And I pulled this story from comicbook.com. Now, Marvel's Avengers is obviously going to be, it's going to be a big game next year. I believe it comes out in May. And why I find the game interesting is because the MCU is hot right now, and I'm a huge MCU fan. I like that we're getting a high quality, detailed game with big, larger-than-life characters that's going to be ever expanding. But, obviously we've heard a lot of the single player, but we didn't get a chance to hear about the multiplayer and co-op modes, and that was actually just released. And I want to talk about that because we know it's going to be 4-player co-op at some point. And part of the co-op experience centers around a feature called war zones, where players will find unique missions that bring together these heroes that have been leveled up throughout the story. Sounds a lot like Destiny's multiplayer, and I gotta be honest with you, that's pretty damn awesome. And Crystal Dynamics studio head Scott Amos touched on the Warzone's mission and the rest of the Marvel's Avengers co-op experience in a PlayStation blog by breaking down what this newly revealed mode consists of. And here's what he had to say. It's a co-op experience where you'll need to decide which role you want to play. For example, someone can take crowd control with Thor, while another player puts Iron Man into the air or leads from the front with the Hulk. In regards to Warzone, here is how the developer explained it. We also wanted war zones to be versatile enough that you can play as your leveled up characters with all of the high level perks and upgrades you've earned, but still have lower level friends join you. So we had to figure out how to dynamically scale the world so that if you have a low level Hulk and super upgraded Thor, there's still a way to play together that won't feel unbalanced. Now, I gotta be honest, see, when I start to hear the in-depth development of this game, it excites me simply because it's not just going to look pretty. Like, this has a 10-year plan where all of the content is going to be free, and that includes Warzone missions, story missions, added characters. The only DLC, the only microtransactions that has been confirmed is going to be cosmetic, and someone like myself who enjoys the MCU the way he does may go out and spend a couple of bucks on certain Iron Man suit types, like maybe Mark 49, maybe War Machine if he's not a character, right? Or maybe if there's a Punisher, maybe if the Punisher ever gets into the game and they have the Punisher War Machine mech outfit, I'll spend $10 on that to get it. But I want to go to the panel on this, and of course I'm going to start with BitCloud Gaming. You are our resident Marvel comic fan. When you hear, we've seen what it looks like. We've seen some gameplay, and it's on the bridge level, and they haven't really gone past that. But when you hear how they're really, doubling down on allowing for co-op and multiplayer modes, does that excite you from what you've heard so far?
Well, yeah, because they kind of showed that was going to be the basis of the gameplay. Remember how they were like cutting from character to character when he was playing single player?
Yes.
So each particular Avenger will play a certain role. For example, Hulk is more of like the extreme cases when it comes to like stuff breaking down, and you need a brute to hold stuff together, stuff like that. So yeah, that was cool. I do like that. I do like the Captain America gameplay as well. That was the dopest one for me personally. I like that. Thor was cool, but I like that. Black Widow was also a nice addition. But what's even more cool about this particular game is the fact that they're adding more characters to it.
Yeah, it's going to be ever growing, which is great.
Yeah, you're going to see Black Panther. So basically what I'm saying is, guys, you're going to see more different gameplay scenarios and team up type of like combinations. So the Black Panther is going to be added eventually. Obviously Doctor Strange. You're going to see Captain Marvel, the Guardians, all of them. They're going to add all of this. And since the new deal with Disney now having the X-Men could be added to this.
I can't wait. Fantastic Four, too.
Fantastic Four could get revived before they even get to the movies. They can revive them with the game and getting into this. So, the possibilities are really, really endless. And this could also lead to even better boss. And this is kind of where Capcom dropped the ball. You guys remember Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite? We all thought that was a cool setup with the Infinity Gauntlets and the gems, and then they screwed it up with Ultron Sigma. They actually could have did something more different with Ultron. They could have combined him with somebody more menacing, like Ultron and Doom.
That'd have been great.
Doomtron or something. Make something better than what we got. Do something different. But no, they went with Sigma. So this actually does set up a lot of cooler, like bosses and a lot of cooler situations. I would love to see that. You said Spider-Man? Yes, Spider-Man more than likely as well. I think though that might actually be on the PlayStation side. It's possible that might be
No,
exclusive to
I think
PlayStation,
that's been
but
defunct where Spider-Man's going to be locked behind PS4. He's not. I think the
Oh, he's
company.
not? Okay,
Yeah, I
okay,
believe
okay.
the company has already came for every Marvel character. Now, look, I'm going to say this. They did say that specific suits, outfits,
okay,
were going to
that
be DLC exclusively for Sony because obviously they have Sony's PlayStation Spider-Man, and those
Okay.
suits are going to be exclusive, but the character is not. I think they've already
that's
put the
good.
kibosh on that.
That's definitely good. That means that nobody will get a degrading experience. To
Yeah,
get the
no.
full,
Spider-Man is going to
that's
be
good,
across
that's
the
good.
board. Marvel would not allow it, and
Yeah.
I think they've already put the kibosh on that.
But y'all know Sony. Sony's gonna be quick. Like, let's be real here. Everybody in the chat, y'all know Sony gonna be quick to put out that Black Suit Spider-Man DLC for the
Yeah.
for the character.
Everybody
Either they're
wants
gonna do that-
Symbionite Spider-Man, including myself.
Exactly.
So
They're either gonna do that or they're gonna do an Iron Spider damn suit, or they're gonna do something to spice that deal up to make you go for PlayStation's version. I already know that's gonna happen in some weird way. But I hope they don't. Did they kill off Captain America in this story? It
no,
looked like
I
they
don't.
killed
You know
Captain
what?
America off.
I think that they implied it. Because
Yeah, it looks
obviously
like he's gone, but
yeah,
it might be,
I don't
it
think
might
so.
be a ploy. Yeah, it
Yeah.
might be a touch up to the movie because he wants that normal life, so you never really know. But it looks good, man. I ain't gonna lie, it looks really, really good. I'm hyped for it.
Yeah, well, that makes two of us. I can't wait for next year because next year is going to be big for Marvel, and having a big Marvel game.
gamers. Big for gamers.
Yeah. Oh,
Not a-
for
not a
gamers, it's going to be like I said. For Christmas, folks, ask for plastic, and I don't mean credit cards. Ask for gift cards. Get all of your gift cards and tuck them in your underwear drawer, and forget that they exist until all these games come out. Because next year,
and we still got games to look forward to. Certain projects that we still haven't gotten revealed yet. I mean, obviously, we got the Resident Evil 3
yes,
remake.
yeah.
We still got that on the horizon. Dino Crisis supposed to remake. There's so many games.
Yeah,
that
there's
have
a
not
lot
dropped.
to look forward to for
Speaking of
sure.
Resident Evil, did you guys just see that Monster Hunter World added Leon? And
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
That's so Capcom.
Oh Lord.
You know what, Noob, being that you jumped in, I want to grab your opinion on this because obviously the game releases May 15th, 2020, and I believe we have a big time film, a Marvel film that month, and then right after that we have. I believe that there's a few films set up for next year, so I'm excited for that. But from what you've seen, because obviously the one thing about Noof Nukem, if you don't know, he enjoys the community. He likes gaming with others, and he's constantly putting out there that he wants to play online with the community. So when you hear how much emphasis they're putting into making sure that the co-op experience is spot on and that people are going to want to play, does that excite you further for Marvel's Avengers?
Absolutely. I mean, yes, I do love to play games in co-op mode. Community or friends that I've known for years. I mean, there's just something about, playing a great game with a friend that just takes on a whole new life of its own. I mean, for example, the Gears franchise is better with friends. Borderlands is way better when you got friends, especially if you can hook up with 4 people and roll that stuff. But yeah, this game will be awesome. It's been, we really haven't had the chance to play much. We've had lots of superhero games, there's no question, but we haven't had a whole lot of superhero games that give us the ability to hang out with friends and play them outside of, the 500 Lego Marvel superhero games or whatever that they make these days. And most of those are limited for the fact that they're couch co-op only.
Right.
So, if they can come up with some game modes where you and your friends can enjoy and you can step into the roles of some of your favorite Marvel characters, I'm super excited to jump in and become the big green machine, the Hulk, and smash stuff up. Yes, indeed. That and Iron Man, those are 2 of my favorite from the Marvel universe. So, the game is looking great. I mean, graphically, I think it looks stellar if it lives up, to those the video footage that we've seen so far. So, yeah, pretty excited about it. We'll see how it all takes shape come, I guess, next year, and I'm sure it will be probably releasing alongside of some of the big movies because that's the best way to drum up hype is kind of have things coinciding there. So, definitely can't wait to step in and play some of those awesome game modes.
Yeah,
don't forget about DC, and don't forget to put a smile on your face because we got the Joker.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
About to drop it.
That's getting
Hype for
unbelievable reviews. They said it's actually quite realistic how he takes the character's form. Joaquin Phoenix is a magnificent actor, but Slow-Mo, I want to get your opinion on this because obviously you like co-op games as well. You know, obviously you have Borderlands, you like Destiny, obviously you like The Division, and this is being made by the AAA team that brought us Rise of the Tomb Raider, which is one of my favorite titles from them. And what we've seen it looks like it's packed with quality. But why this was an interesting article was how much they're concerned with the playability, especially when it comes to the co-op play, and why that's a big factor. I mean, it's the Avengers, so when you say Avengers, you think team. Are you even more excited to play this game come May 2020 when you hear how much emphasis they're putting on working as a team?
I was excited about this game before I even saw it. So like,
that makes two of us.
I'm a huge Marvel comics fan. Like I've been reading comics since I was 11. The very first comic I ever picked up was X-Men #1 with Chris Claremont writing and Jim Lee.
Wow, that was a great
Jim Lee doing
run.
the pencils. It was I was just hooked ever since. So like I've been a big Marvel comic fan. I'm a big comics fan in particular. But Marvel, for the most part, has been the books that I read the most. So for this Avengers game, I've been really, really excited about. Really excited mostly because they said that they were trying to work in a lot more with characters that aren't the MCU, which I don't have a problem with the MCU. I enjoy the MCU too, but the MCU doesn't have all the characters.
Right.
You know, like they're. I know Big Cloud mentioned some of the characters that are going to be in the game, but they're even going to have like Kamala Khan in the game.
Yes.
Newer pop characters that they're also bringing in. So I'm really excited for it. The co-op aspects. I could play a game solo or co-op. It doesn't matter to me, but having co-op is always a great bonus. So, I'm excited for that too. The game is, I really like the gameplay that I saw. I've never been down on it. I know there have been a lot of people that
Not me. Yeah, I'm right there with you. I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just like, you know what, the people that complain about the character models for the most part, I did think that Scarlet Witch had a little bit of a man jaw going on. Like they needed to kind of work with that. But character models, a lot of people are how they view these characters based off of how they look at the MCU. You're really giving the opportunity because, like, even when you read comics, like one artist may pick up off with a book, and they have a different art style, and some of the characters' features look different.
Yeah. Yep.
They were going to base her off of Scarlet.
Say what?
Black Widow, I mean.
I didn't hear you a bit. What you say?
Oh, I'm like, it sounded like you were comparing her to Scarlett Johansson. I'm like, there's no way they're going to base her off of that model.
No. I'm saying a lot of people felt like they should have.
They should have, yeah. And
really?
you know what? This game needs to be its own.
I think so. I mean, with all the losses that's been happening as late, because remember, Lindsay Lohan threw a fucking fit with damn GTA.
Yeah.
Oh, because there's a random woman who kind of looked like her, but it wasn't really her. You know, even Ellen Page.
That's what I'm saying. Don't make even though I don't think. I think Disney probably has their actors in line with it, where if any of these characters resembled the actual actors, that no one's going to actually make a big fuss about it. But regardless of that, I'm not saying they should make the characters look like the MCU characters. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying there are people who are complaining about the character models. They don't want to publicly say this, but what they really are saying is that they wished all the characters looked like their MCU counterparts. And I just don't think, I think going the comic book approach is better.
Yeah, I agree. I absolutely agree with you there. Yeah. No, you could do more. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to keep paying out the likeness to the characters. I mean, to the real life actors, which is what they would have to do if Chris Evans' portrayal of this Captain America was identical. They'd have to pay him for that, and rightfully so, right? I mean, obviously.
Royalties.
You know, royalties for sure. But yeah, listen, we're gonna close out the show. Zemi, I want to get your final opinion, and though I understand that you're not necessarily the biggest superhero guy, you do dig two things here: story. Right? You like story and you like co-op. And this is going to have it in spades because it's a comic book story. And what we've heard from the developers is that we're going to get some big time events. Now, they didn't specify if we're going to get Secret Wars or we're going to get, any of the other big events that happened in Marvel. Secret Invasion. Yeah, I mean, we could. Yeah, right. So we don't know, but the potential is there for unbelievable storytelling, and you can do it and play with it not only in single player but co-op with your friends. What are your thoughts on what they're saying regarding the possibility for Marvel's Avengers by the AAA team that built the Tomb Raider house?
Yeah, I mean, so I'm actually relatively excited. I'm a lot more excited for it than I was probably 6 months ago. Since you guys always talk about like the superhero stuff, and I literally have no idea what you're talking about most of the time. So I took the step in actually watching the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe. The only movie I haven't seen so far is like the second Spider-Man. But yeah, so it is kind of growing on me. I am kind of becoming a little bit more of a fan, I guess, of the Avengers and everything. I'm looking forward to playing the story of the game. I like how they're treating their multiplayer, that, they're definitely going in with the details. And I think that's important, especially with this game being, what they say, a 10-year long project, because the story of the game is going to be great. That's probably where I'm going to stop. I'm probably going to play the story of the game, maybe dabble a little bit in the multiplayer, and then I'm probably going to put it on the shelf until they come out with some like really, really new, unique stuff. But like the multiplayer is what's really going to increase the life cycle of this game. And so it's a huge, important thing. And I'm glad that they're giving it the detail and the attention that it deserves. But yeah, I mean, I really just can't wait to get my hands on the game. It's probably going to be a day one purchase. And it still blows my mind how busy spring of 2020 is going to be with all of these releases, and now the Avengers game, and just so much to get into, and so many games to be excited about. I'm definitely really pumped.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I got to say this has been, first of all, this has been the first show that we were able to, I actually got to every topic, and I'm really happy about that because, obviously, I spent a lot of time writing, and I want to get the information out there, so that has been really dope. Real quick, before we get out of here, a couple of shout-outs. First of all, Sir X-Man in the chat drops an incredible $5 super chat, and he says this: Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 should have been on the other consoles. It would have sold much better and made more money. Yeah, you know what the problem was, that dude, and I agree. I agree with what you're saying. The problem is that I don't think it would have actually been made if it wasn't for Nintendo, because from what I understand, they approached the property that was not being used, and they wanted to do that to make it an exclusive, and it's selling significantly well. New DLC, that's Salty in the chat. Salty from the Saltiest Gaming Podcast is in the chat. Thanks for being here, brother. They just dropped a new DLC for the Vampire DLC. I believe it has Morbius, Moon Knight, Blade, and someone else, which is dope. And I actually have to download the characters because that game's amazing. And I know Slow-Mo, you've been playing it. I think it's amazing. But real quick before we get out of here, normally I do this at the beginning, but today it just slipped my mind for some reason. I have to thank my Patreon supporters, and a lot of people don't know that some people may or may not know that I have a Patreon, and I've had a ton of unbelievable community members support me on this, and I had to give them a personal public shout out because their generosity is unbelievable. Alfonso Hogan, Josette Rivera, who of course is my wife, Casket Repair, The Only One Left, Defunct Jester, LMNOP, Frederick Jackson, J Force Gaming, who dropped an awesome and very generous $3 super chat earlier, John Blue, Jim Jim Jordan, Chaos Theory, Leroyce Smiley, Lethal Papa, Mark Devlin, Michael Davidson, Mental 9R Gamer, Scrub Nurse, and Tempest Sun. Thank you for supporting Double Barrel Gaming. It's greatly appreciated. And of course, now I have to get to my outstanding panel who completely knocked it out of the park. And let's get into these outros to get you guys out of here so you can start your weekend off the right way. And I'm going to go to BitCloud Gaming. First of all, dude, I always say this and I'll continue to say it. I super appreciate that you are part of this panel each and every week. You do bring a lot of passion and excitement to the panel because you are at your core a diehard gamer. Please tell everyone where they can check out your outstanding YouTube channel, but more importantly, talk to you on on social media, on Twitter.
All right. Well, thank you so much again for the invites. It was great to be here. Shout out to everybody on the panel and, of course, everybody in the chat. It was definitely great. You guys can find me on YouTube at BitCloud Gaming. We're about to do the RGD podcast in a couple more hours. It'll be live today, 5 p.m. Eastern time on the channel. So definitely come on by, come on through, and definitely go over some of these gaming topics. There's a lot to go over that's happened this week. So it's going to be definitely an interesting show indeed. You guys can find me on Twitter at BitCloud Gaming as well. And, of course, you can join us, our official Discord on our channel. It's called the RGD Army. It's on the actual YouTube channel, so you can jump in there and send me anything personally that you guys want to talk about, gaming news, all of that, you name it. And, yeah.
No, thanks for being here, dude. And, yes, make sure that's 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's correct, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah, so 5 o'clock, he has his show. Make sure you show up there and show support. Great banter, great talk, great channel. Next, we have Noof Nukem. First of all, Noof, thanks so much for being here. Of course, anytime you want to be on this show and you have a free Friday, you have a golden ticket, automatic seat in this chair because you are not only very talented, but you are definitely one of the funniest people when it comes to on social media. And you do, and one of the things I appreciate about you is that you do wear your stuff on your sleeve, and that is something that people have to respect and understand. But you do also have an incredible YouTube channel. You do work with Primal Eve, who we talked about, who's recovering from surgery, and we wish her all the best. But your show is amazing, and we were talking pregame about how hard it is to actually talk about a topic and play games at the same time. But somehow you are able to do it. So tell everyone where they can check out that very unique and amazing show, but follow you on Twitter.
Okay, well, thanks first of all for having me here. It's been a great panel. The topics have been absolute fire today. But with that being said, Boom, they can't check me out anymore because if you haven't heard the news, I'm taking a bit of a step back from the podcast.
I did not know that. Okay.
Which means I'm no longer now a permanent panel member of TSGP. I've decided to leave the show, not for any other reason other than I'm taking time for myself and I don't want to be committed to my evenings anymore. I've missed out on a lot of shit in the last 3 or 4 years because I've been always roped into podcasting. So I will be doing podcasts. Like I'll be open to joining you, or I'll be open to doing guest spots here and there. Whenever somebody has an open spot and I have the time, just send me a message and I'll gladly jump in. But I just don't want to have that, that commitment, that hosting structure. Gaming After Dark is also now canceled as well. I'm kind of we may bring it back sometime in the future. Obviously because of the Google things and the Hangouts changing, a lot's changed there, and I prefer to go back to the YouTube with it, but obviously I have to get into this OBS stuff and all the others.
It sucks with everything. It does.
So,
I'll tell you.
But with saying that, I'm going to be trying to pick up my game on Mixer with the streaming and stuff as well. I'm definitely going to try that, and like I said, open the guest stuff. So I will be around. I'm not going anywhere. I'm just kind of over the podcast.
You need to take a break. Sometimes you just need to recharge your batteries, dude. And you know what? The community will be here waiting when you're ready.
Dude, it's 4 years in, and I haven't even 1,000 people on my YouTube channel. It's basically stagnated. So, I don't see the point. But to each their own. But anyway, man, I appreciate you having me here. I won't keep it any longer. You guys know where to find me. Always in the gutter on Xbox. PlayStation Network. That's Noof Nukem, a Noof Nukem 76.
Well, thank you so much for being here, dude, as always. And before I get to slow-mo, Sir X-Man drops an additional, very generous $2 super chat. He says, Boom, I love how professional your show is. Well, thank you very, very much for those comments. And, of course, the generosity. Yes, I do like to run a tight ship, and I do put a lot of work behind the scenes on this to make sure that it is the best place for gaming news. And I'm glad that you and a lot of people who constantly send me messages are appreciating the hard work that, as a content creator, does mean a lot to me. Slow-mo, speaking of content creation, you have been like fire on your channel. Lots of stuff to check out. Almost seems like it's almost daily videos you've been putting out. But of course, you do have 2 shows that you're on that I'd like you to talk about. And you are very, very active on social media, especially on your on Twitter. Please tell everyone where they can check out your amazing channel, check out the 2 shows you're on, but also talk to you on social media on Twitter.
Oh yeah, and again, thanks for the invite. I always enjoy being on Breakfast with Boom. It's always a good time. My YouTube channel is Slow-Mo Backslap. It's SLOMO Backslap. It's the same name. And I just talk about games. It's whatever games I'm interested in, whatever topics I think up. Recently, I did a video about like how to make Crackdown better. I'm actually working on a video that's similar to that about the Order 1886. So you should see that probably sometime this weekend. But sometimes I'll do a video showing people how to do something in Borderlands 3, and then other times I just talk about the games I'm playing and my impressions of them. So if you're interested in that kind of stuff, come check it out. I'm also on Brat with Enrique B Money, Eric Jackson, and Gaming Forte, who's also on the Monday show with Boom.
Primetime Gaming. Yep.
Is Wednesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern. And then I'm also on Saturdays. I'm on with the Ash and Luca for Scumcast, which will feature from time to time BitCloud here on the panel, as well as Gaming Forte. And that's just really whenever Luca is.
She's confident.
Yeah, whenever her hair appointments are done and she's ready to go live is when we go live.
She knows the deal. If it's 9 o'clock, I ain't showing. I'm sick.
Right. But yeah, and on Twitter it's the same name, Slow-Mo Backslap. So hit me up, and you guys have a great weekend.
Oh, thanks for being here, dude. Always great to work with you. And last, and certainly in no way least, Zemi Games. Listen, dude, love that you are on this show. We had a great time on yesterday's Xbox Factor podcast, which you, of course, will be getting an invite very soon because you do very well in that show, and you enjoy it, which is the best part of it. Tell everyone where they could subscribe to your outstanding and ever-growing YouTube channel, but more importantly, give this dude a follow on Twitter. His numbers are abysmal, and it makes no sense to me. Zemi, take it away.
Thank you so much, Boom. And once again, thank you so much for setting up this fantastic show and allowing me to be a panel member on it every single week. If you guys want to, you guys can go check out my YouTube channel. It is Zemi Games. And you guys can also follow me on Twitter at Zemi Games as well. Thank you so much, Boom.
No problem, dude. And again, check out his YouTube channel, and also give this guy a follow on Twitter. I'm telling you, you'll be happy. But of course, I have to thank the chat. You guys, we had 131 people at the maximum number watching today. That's a big deal for me. This is still a very small channel. I don't even know if I'm ever going to get to 3,000 subs because I have been stuck in molasses the last couple of months. But needless to say, I'm glad that you guys are enjoying the content, and I look forward to continuing to grind the wheel and produce new and exciting content each and every week. All I say is 2 things, if you don't mind. If you're enjoying the content, if you really enjoy the podcast, and you know other gamers that are looking for quality, drama-free, information-filled shows, just forward my information to them, because you know what, a lot of the times it's from word of mouth. And before you guys get out of here, hit the like button, because for some reason it is a big deal in the algorithm, which I don't understand how they do it when it comes to YouTube. And of course, I want to thank everyone in the chat for being as professional and fun as usual, and I'll thank my panel once again. Listen, everyone, have a great day. Enjoy gaming. This is going to be a great weekend. We are getting close to Halloween in a couple of weeks. One of my favorite holidays. So just hang out, enjoy, treat people how you want to be treated, and just remember this, folks, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. Have a great weekend, and we will see you next week on the newest episode of Breakfast with Boom. Take care, folks.